Darlington Raceway isn't just a racetrack, it's a time machine.
Dale Earnhardt has never win.
The measuring stick of yesterday's legends now sizes up the stars of tomorrow. Only the chosen few are allowed to win.
Denny Hamlin is a winner.
The rest merely vanish into the sands of time and the sand hills of South Carolina.
You hear about some of these new tracks or redesigned tracks made better by computers and engineers. That's not Darlington. You could call Darlington a happy accident, but most just call it intimidating. Born in 1950, the dirt was piled in the corners to create the banking judged only by the human eye. Its famous egg shape, so the track wouldn't disturb a neighboring farmer's minnow pond.
That was Sherman Ramsey's minnow pond, too, by the way, not just any old pond.
Stuff you can't make up. Welcome to Darlington. Welcome to NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown, and welcome to the ESPN Pit Studio. It's a pleasure to have you with us this evening. I am Nicole Briscoe alongside Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty. The gang is all back together. You know, every sport has a crown jewel, the one event or the few events that matter the most. NASCAR has Charlotte, Indianapolis, Daytona, the Bristol Night Race, and we have Darlington.
This is definitely one of the majors. There's no doubt about that. But, boy, we're at a racetrack that's really hard to get around. I mean, you talked earlier about this place being built around a minnow pond. I mean, one of the corners is real tight.
Yeah,
and,
it's like
Brad,
an egg.
this place is so hard to drive that NASCAR used to make the drivers go have a rookie test. The veteran drivers would watch the guys run and say, you know what, you look pretty good or you look pretty bad, before they would let him run. A really tough racetrack, a really slick racetrack. It takes some real good drivers to get around this joint.
You know what's interesting, though? Every driver I talk to, whether it's Rusty Wallace or Carl Edwards or Clint Boyer, they all say, I can't get around this racetrack. It is such a demanding and tough test throughout the day. A lot of guys are good a lot of different places. Rusty's great at Bristol. You know, Clint Boyer's great at Kansas. But they all come here to Darlington and say, I can't get around this racetrack.
You know what?
It's too tough.
Fans respect.
This was my worst track. I never got around here.
And no offense, but you don't luck into wins here.
No,
the great
true.
ones
That's right.
tend to win at Darlington, like David Pearson. He won here 10 times. Dale Earnhardt won 9 Sprint Cup Series races at Darlington. Add 3 in for the Nationwide Series. Jeff Gordon, he leads the way for the active drivers currently in the Sprint Cup Series, a 7-time winner at this track. There are a host of greats, 5 wins.
Yeah.
Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison, Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, and then there's Mark Martin. 2 wins in the Cup Series, 8 in the Nationwide Series.
You're mentioning names that are the greatest of all time in this sport. And you look at Cale Yarborough and David Pearson. David Pearson, Greenville, South Carolina. Cale Yarborough, Timmonsville, South Carolina. This was their Super Bowl. This is the race that they wanted to win more than anything. David Pearson won 105 races. His 105th race was right here at Darlington,
Brad,
South Carolina.
I remember when David Pearson would get in trouble somewhere else, he could come to this racetrack, and in his mind, he knew he could get some
owned this
points.
place. He owned
could
it.
make it up big time right
10
here.
Not many
wins.
people feel that way. Most people feel like they're going to get into trouble at this racetrack. We'll talk to a few of those young guys coming up in just a little bit. Coming up next, to be a success in NASCAR, you got to have a guy, the loyal, dedicated guy that has your back. We're going to meet Jack Roush's guy coming up. And then Travis Pastrana, he may be the megastar athlete around here, but at home, he's just Travis. You'll find out why in a few. And then Talladega, the aftermath from Eric McClure. He is here, by the way. You'll hear from him. Plus, the fallout of Danica versus Sam.
Women drivers.
Oh, come on. Oh, game on, buddy. Game on.
That was good.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and especially mine, who takes care of me each and every weekend, getting to the track and really just going through life.
Well, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, but especially my mom, Mama Belle, who taught me a lot of great things in life and probably is responsible for the personality that I have today. I love you very much.
Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Dorothy. She's an amazing woman, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It's a great day, so enjoy it.
Ooh, Elliott Sadler, you are busted. You forgot your own wife, mother, your 2 children. You are in trouble. So my mom, so she doesn't yell at me. Mom, Happy Mother's Day. I love you.
I'll tell you, I miss my mom. She's no longer with me, but I'll tell you what, I do remember her very well. She whooped me with a screen door one time, and I learned a lot. You didn't mess with my
I've
mama.
heard you talk about women drivers.
Yeah.
And
Tell
I
you
don't
what, my
blame her.
mom's mad at me right now. I told her I was going to take her to lunch. She's all dressed up, and I said, no, Mom, it's tomorrow, not today.
Well,
We're working today,
Every
Mom.
day.
as you can see, we are quickly approaching the most important important part of this long day here in Darlington. You know, cars were on the track this morning at 8:30. But before we can move on to the race we have today, let's talk about a few things from Talladega that still need a bit of attention, like that 14 car. It will start 26th today. Normally, the driver would be Eric McClure, but today it's Jeff Green. McClure is still recovering from that vicious hit that he took at the tail end of the race in Talladega.
And you take a look at this. She's right back there in the back. Here
Right behind Danica's green car.
Yeah,
there
he goes. The orange 14. Look at that.
No, it just looks like it accelerates. You know, it's incredible.
He says that he lost the brakes, couldn't stop the car, but Brad, talk about safety. He walked out of that car. That thing was destroyed. NASCAR, the
Thank you,
seats,
NASCAR.
everything they
Yes,
do, the softball.
he was airlifted.
Everything worked.
Relieved from the hospital Monday night with a concussion and some mild internal bruising. McClure, like we said, not racing today, but he is here today.
I feel okay, probably as well as can be expected. It's, you know, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a challenging week, and we're battling through some symptoms and some health issues, but, you know, mostly I feel good. We have some internal bruising and some things we're watching there, and obviously we have the concussion, so, you know, obviously that's a couple of red flags for driving the race car, and, you know, we have to work through processes for that, and we will. It's a very thorough process and in excellent care, and once they deem it okay to come back to race, then we'll do that. But right now we're just taking it a day at a time and doing what we need to do to get healthy. But our goals are just to get back in the car, enjoy it a lot more, maybe not take it too seriously, and just go from there.
Tell you what, he says it's been a challenging week. What I think would be challenging is to get back in a car after going through something like that. But that's the amazing thing. As a driver, you compartmentalize that stuff. It makes you guys, well, we'll say special.
Well, all guys do that. They all really only think about that type of stuff. But you know what's really tough as a driver, Nicole? Number one, is when you hear like he is right now, by himself, watching somebody else in his car.
That's the worst thing, yeah.
Oh, my God. And you're like, I want this guy to run good, but I don't want him to run better than me. I want to be the fastest guy in that car. I don't want to look stupid and have somebody else run the heck out of me.
Even now, he's
even
thinking
right
about
now,
that?
absolutely.
Even now?
Yeah, you know, race car
really
drivers, they're very interesting people, obviously, and you're right, they do compartmentalize. Yeah,
Wait, you're a driver too now.
Well, not much of one. But anyway, you know, the whole thing is, like, when you look at Eric McClure, I heard him say the other day, now he thinks that he's going to be an even better race car driver simply because he feels it's a safer environment because of what he has survived. That's how you compartmentalize. Yeah, and that's what he does. That's who he is. He's a professional race car driver. He's itching to get back in that race car.
Well, also from Talladega, NASCAR this week handed out a couple of fines to the Penske Nationwide Series crew chiefs for those unapproved front bumper covers. Chad Walter, Jeremy Bullens, both out $10,000 and on probation until the end of this season. And then there is this, the post-race issue between Sam Hornish Jr. and Danica Patrick. Final lap, Hornish said he had a tire go down, which led to this.
Yeah, if you watch the right front tire here, you'll see the sparks right there. So his right front tire is going down. Rusty, you know, you can't drive these things once that tire goes flat. He inadvertently gets into Danica. It was a mistake. He didn't mean to. It was an accident, I will say.
Yeah, but look at Danica. I mean, she didn't need to go up there and hit him in the back, put him wide open in the wall, a car that was in pretty good shape. But look at there, right front tire, right there.
It's down. And it's a 100% an accident. And this is where I totally disagree with NASCAR on not penalizing her for wrecking him after the race, after everything is done on the cool-down lap. I think that she should have been penalized for wrecking him, just like Kyle Busch was penalized for wrecking Ron Hornaday and other instances that we've
Brad,
seen.
we talked
issue at Texas.
Guys, we talked in our meeting this morning with NASCAR. They said they view that as a different style of wreck than what we saw with Kyle Busch and those guys last year. So
they cited the history that Kyle Busch has had in not just the Truck Series, but the Nationwide Series.
I don't agree with that.
Series.
It's either right or wrong.
Danica didn't have that history.
It's either right or wrong.
They told us that at the time.
I know
it was
they
his
did.
history.
I disagree.
His past.
It's either right or wrong.
The one thing that we have seen here, though, I was going to say, Danica Patrick, she uses the bumper. She has a little bit of a temper. If she feels you've done her wrong, she'll get you back.
She's made it clear that she likes driving these cars with fenders, and when she gets upset, she's going to pay you back, and she's done it about every single time.
I like that about her.
I do too.
She's in a male-dominated sport, a male-dominated arena. She has to be tough, and she has learned that she's not going to give a quarter. You get into her, she's going to get back into you.
But she needs to
after
learn.
the fact, it's over with. You can't do what she did.
She needs to learn. She doesn't need to have all these knee-jerk reactions like,
I agree.
I got touched, I'm going to wreck
I
the
think
guy.
she would say the same thing about that. I think she realizes she was wrong and wrecking
These
Sam
two
after
could
the fact.
clearly go on and talk about this the rest of the day, but we have other things to talk about.
Really?
And
Oh,
when
they
we
are.
come back, Roush Fenway Racing, they've had a lot of success over the last 25 years. We will talk to one man who's helped give some of that success.
thought we were doing
Edgar
pretty
Allman
good.
coming up. Plus, Darlington is not easy, especially for the young guys. We'll talk to several of them. There are a bunch of first-timers in this race tonight.
We didn't have no timeout in my house. Kids, they
You're
talk
gonna get a
about
timeout
timeout. We
sitting
didn't
here
have no
in a few
timeout.
minutes.
Mama,
I'm working on it.
timeout, all right.
Penalties.
Inside your noggin.
Welcome back to Darlington and NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown. The defending Nationwide Series champion is back on top. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the points leader by 5 over Elliott Sadler. And how about this for some momentum? He regained the points lead a week ago, and today he will start on pole. Now, Stenhouse is, of course, very much part of Roush Fenway Racing's success over the years, starting with Mark Martin. October of 1989, win number 1 for the team. Win number 100 came courtesy of Jeff Burton in 2000 in the Nationwide Series at Las Vegas. 5 years later, it was Carl Edwards in Victory Lane at Texas. And win number 200. Win number 300 was the 500 this year with Matt Kenseth. There have been 6 championships along the way, including the title in this series just 1 season ago, courtesy of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That kind of success does not fall on the shoulders of one man. It falls on the shoulders of many men. But when a team like Roush Fenway Racing knows it can count on the loyalty and dedication of perhaps one in particular, Dave Burns, it does make a bit of a difference.
I ran into a story like that last October, Nicole. It was while Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was racing his way to the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. I was with crew chief Mike Kelly, and I said, Mike, you know, there's only one guy on your team I don't know, your engine tuner. You don't know Edgar, he said, as if I'd missed some legendary figure at Roush Fenway Racing. Turns out, I had. Dreams are born here, on shop floors of opportunity. Dreams are also born here, on local tracks, like this one in Salinas, Puerto Rico.
I was like 13 to 14 years old, and I started going to the races. That's when I figured out that I really liked to work in cars and be involved with cars.
Edgar Allman's dream began as a teenager growing up in Bayamon, one of the largest suburbs of San Juan, Puerto Rico. In 1978, a chance encounter with one of Ford Racing's emerging stars gave him the opportunity to make that dream come true.
He started off being a house guest of another employee that I had that had come from Puerto Rico with a promotional trip I'd made with one of my drag race cars. Edgar could not speak English, so he came to work and offered to volunteer floor sweeping and garbage can emptying to make the shop clean.
It was pretty hard. I was like 20, 21. My feelings inside, this is what I need to do.
He started with the grungiest job in the shop. After he proved himself in that, Jack was quick to give him something else to do as he escalated towards an engine builder.
I could see the path that Edgar was on to try to figure out how to do something that was useful, and to be competitive at that was something that I'd gone through. We were kindred souls of a sort.
Through sheer determination and a willingness to learn, Edgar evolved from shop janitor to accomplished engine builder. And in the 34 years since he joined Roush, he's left his imprint on world-class racers.
The engine was always flawless. He was always on it. You just absolutely couldn't have anyone that you could rely on more than Edgar.
There's a lot of guys in our sport that over time tend to beat their own drums, and for a guy that's been around as long as he has and accomplished what he has, it just makes it that much more special to me to see how humble he is.
He doesn't say a whole lot, but you know, the way he looks, you just know he's ready to go. He's real calm. He doesn't ever get worked up. It brings confidence in us that, you know, all the other guys look at the car and make sure the car is going to last, because he says the motor's going to last.
Edgar deserves as much credit for what we did last year, the wins, the races, the guidance that he gives us, the young guys on the team. He deserves a lot more credit than he'll ever receive, for sure.
Your 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series champion, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
since 1978. He's been one of the most talented, able, resourceful, and had the highest motivation to set the curve, really, for all of our employees. Edgar was a part of every championship we won and a part of every success that we had on the racetrack.
Edgar defines his success with his heart and his work ethic.
Be passionate with your job, what you're doing. Try to do the best you can do, and hope for the best.
Edgar told me he has never been late to work. He's never taken a sick day. Jack Roush backed that up. So as you can see, NASCAR has given Edgar much more of a full life than just the nuts and bolts. Wouldn't you agree, my friend?
Yeah, a lot of friends. So like a big family in here. It's real good. It's been real good to me.
He followed his passion as a teenager, Nicole, and it led to something much, much more for Edgar.
Dave Burns, thank you very much. It's now a pleasure to welcome to our family the newest member of the group, Mr. Carl Edwards.
Oh, man, look at that coat and tie. You look good there, buddy.
In the suit and tie.
Yeah.
I had it pre-tied. I just threw it over the head and tightened it up.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Though in your regular job, you've obviously spent your entire NASCAR career at Roush Fenway Racing. What does it mean to you as a driver to know that you've got a guy like Edgar who has your back?
Edgar's a great guy. He took me under his wing. I've been over to his house, hung out with him and his wife. They're great folks, and he's a true racer. I mean, you guys talked about it there. One thing, I'm going to tell a little story on Edgar. He's a very clever guy, and Jack might not know this, but in Jack's handbook, if you're going to be an employee of Roush Racing, you got to follow the rules. One of them is you have to wear a belt. Jack comes in the shop and sees you without a belt. It's bad news. Edgar never wears a belt. But he's smart. He cut all the belt loops off of all of his pants. So he says, hey, Jack, I don't have any belt loops. He's a very great guy, and I'm proud to be on the team with Edgar.
That's awesome.
That's a good story.
Carl, thank you. Don't go anywhere, though, because we do have a few more questions for you. But the one thing that's interesting, you hear the term family, team tossed around a lot. But in stick and ball, in football and basketball, when the guys say, I got to thank my team, you can look at the bench. You can see the team. In this sport, Brad, when someone says, I got to thank the guys back at the shop, there are always more guys at the shop than what we see here, the glory boys for the weekend.
Yeah, the people who really know a lot about this sport know what we're talking about. We're talking about the guys back at the shop, and I'll give you a little story. My little race team after Daytona, we had to get back. We obviously raced on Monday. We had to go on to Phoenix the next week. I had about 15 of my guys stay up for 30 hours straight trying to get a race car ready, put in a hauler, and out to Phoenix just so we can go race. That's the kind of I'm a great boss. But that's the kind of dedication we have in this sport as racers. It's all about the guys back behind the scenes that don't get the recognition. That's what makes this cog go.
You know, Brad, a guy like Edgar, in my opinion, he's one of the go-to guys. He's been at Roush for so long. You got to believe that all the employees that come in now that really don't understand the system would have to go to Edgar and say, hey, man, what's it like over here? Yeah. And you got to believe that guy really educates them, makes them feel comfortable and understands it. Because let's face it, what did Jack say? Since 1978 he's been there? He's kind of been there, done that.
They've had
Pretty
the team
good guy.
for 25 years in NASCAR, and he's been there.
Wow. Long time.
There he is.
All right, let's take care of some business here. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. Sunday, the NBA playoffs continue with a doubleheader on ABC. First at 12:30 Eastern, it's the Kia NBA Countdown. Then at 1, if necessary, it's win or go home Game 7. Clash is Chris Paul, who has a pulled hip flexor, by the way, attempts to lead the Clippers with Blake Griffin, who has a sore knee, past Rudy Gay and Zach Randolph, who take care of business on the post. And at 3 o'clock, Danny Granger and the Pacers square off against LeBron James. If he'd left Cleveland a year earlier, I'd still be the all-time leading scorer. And the Heat in Game 1 of the conference semifinals.
Do you know about
the
basketball?
NBA playoffs on ABC, home of the NBA Finals. And when we come back, we're going to talk about.
You take it over.
I got this. We come back. We're going to talk about some of the first timers and the young guns racing the Lady in Black. When we return,
I need some coffee because he's clearly doing.
Okay, Paul Harvey, here we go, buddy.
Not bad.
We come back.
Not bad.
Not bad.
All right.
Maybe. Keep working. Keep trying.
That's pretty good.
See what he can do next. Maybe this will be
I'm
the
done.
brag show.
I'm
You're
done.
done. You're going to
That's
retire
all
on
I
top.
can do. Yeah. It's lunchtime.
You know who the Lady in Black loves most? First-time visitors. For more than 6 decades, she's been chewing them up and spitting them out. The cockier, the better. The taller they want, the further she knocks them down. And around and around and around. Rookies.
See, I'm being told to talk now, but I feel like I should let Brad take over the show.
No, I'm going to let you have a little bit.
All right, thank you. We have been keeping track today. We're calling it the unofficial stripe counter because so far today we've had a few drivers collect their Darlington stripes for the day.
Oh, yeah.
It started in practice. Danica Patrick, never been here before. There you go.
Yeah, she gets a little loose off of turn 2, hits the wall, doesn't tear the quarter panel up much. This little kiss right there, her car is just fine.
In qualifying, a few more drivers.
Qualifying, Travis Pastrana, I talked to him about it. He came off the corner and he was wanting to get every ounce out of that race car. He told me, I'm scared to death, Brad, before I go qualify, and he laid it out there.
I find it hard to believe he's afraid of anything.
Take a look at Cole Witt right here. He gets loose getting into turn 3. He gets pounded that car. He's got to go to a backup car.
Those are just a few of the stripes that we've seen today. I'm sure we'll see a few more, in part because there are 13 drivers making their first ever Darlington start in this race in the Nationwide Series. That list, of course, includes Danica Patrick, Travis Pastrana, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, and Austin Dillon. Rusty, when you first came here, and I love this story, you had to be approved by a veteran before you were even allowed to go out there.
Oh, you did. The first time I showed up here, they said, okay, kid, go out there, run right now, get some good laps, because all the veterans are going to stand up on an observation deck and watch you. And if you don't look good, they're not going to let you race.
Didn't you run over somebody or something?
Well, that's later in my story.
Oh, okay.
So they kept watching that. Every single driver of his first time here, the veterans had to watch him. So I get approved, right? I get on the racetrack and I take off 30 laps of the race. I get sailing down the back straightaway there, and I get in.
You're going to show him something, right?
Yeah, I'm going to show him. I get in there so deep I couldn't stop. I hit DK Ulrich in the back of his car. My car landed on his roof, on the roof. They had to get a wrecker and pull my car off of his car. Okay.
So those veterans sure knew a lot about.
They knew a lot about.
There's a reason why they did this, huh?
Exactly.
Then I get the car fixed. About 100 laps later, I go back out there and the whole back straightaway stands up and cheers and go, "Get that knucklehead back out there!" Here comes.
Obviously, they don't let the veterans have any say in this anymore.
They don't do that any
Case
longer.
in point. However, if you do have a veteran on your team, I'm sure there are a number of them who are taking advantage of those veteran teammates today, like the guy who's standing by with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Indeed, they do, Nicole. Austin Dillon, the rookie, will start third tonight. And we're talking about experience on your team. You got your grandfather, Richard Childress, your teammate, Elliott Sadler. What's the best piece of advice you've been given by those guys about this place?
There's a lot. You know, you race the track is the first thing. And then I'll talk to Elliott a little bit today. He helped me out on really not overcharging the corner. I'm really aggressive here, so I got to work on backing my corner up throughout the race, especially in traffic. And you know, I just want to thank all the sponsors that have helped us get here with Advocare and Bass Pro Shops and Nationwide Insurance and Tag Heuer Eyewear, man. It's awesome to be able to race in such a great series. And I got my friend here, my spotter's son, Clark. He's going to be racing here pretty soon. So I'm having a good time, and I think there's going to be a great race for us.
That's Clark Houston, by the way, grandson of Tommy Houston, legendary driver in this series. Hey, let me ask you now, you've been here twice in the Truck Series. This is the first time in the Nationwide car. What's the steepest part of the learning curve in the Nationwide car today?
I think traffic's going to be really tough. You know, there's not much room out there, and when you get around other cars, you seem to move around quite a bit. So learning how to drive around other people, that's a question I've been asking the more experienced drivers. I've asked a few Cup guys today what they think about being in traffic here and what's the advantage of either giving and taking, you know, and how much you can take. So I'm ready to go racing. It's going to be fun. Restarts are going to be important tonight. You know, I think getting position's really big.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Austin Dillon. Let's go to Vince Welch.
Another driver experiencing Darlington for the very first time is Danica Patrick, and not just once, but pulling double duty with Tony Stewart's Cup team for the race tomorrow night. What's been the biggest difference between what you heard it was going to be like and what you expected it was going to be like and what it's actually been like?
I think the biggest difference from what I heard is how much you're like threading the needle here. You've got to hit the line perfectly. You've got to get in just right, use the brake just right. For me, getting really comfortable with letting it drift up to the wall, but following that line. So, you know, you go through one and you drift up to the wall, which is something I have to get used to, and then you come, and then you've got to be set up to come down through two, because that kink there, I mean, I slapped the wall in the first run I made just because I turned in too early, and it's like threading a needle, which I didn't expect. So, you know, that's going to make it a challenge when you get running on old tires. And, you know, I'll try and keep the corners all pretty green on the GoDaddy car, but I'm not sure I'm going to come unscathed. I think there'll be some contact with the wall.
Danica Patrick in the 7 tonight and the 10 for Tony Stewart tomorrow night.
Well, since his impressive Nationwide Series debut 2 weeks ago at Richmond, where he finished 7th, Ryan Blaney has been the buzzword around here, Ryan. So what can you take from that experience that helps your confidence maybe for tonight?
Well, you know, I definitely learned a lot from Richmond, just racing with other guys, and I learned a lot on pit road. That's really the biggest thing I learned from Richmond. Coming here, I think it's going to help me a lot. I really struggled last time on pit road, and I think I'll do a little bit better this time. And we got a real good Seal Wrap Chevrolet for tonight, so I think we get close to the front on this initial start. Hopefully we can start picking off guys one by one.
Obviously, first time here, you've never raced anything here. Describe what you did to prepare for this race and how that compares to actually being on the track.
Well, I watched a lot of video. I had in-car footage of Denny Hamlin from last year, and that definitely helped me, like lifting points and where he'd get on the gas and what line he was running. So it's a really big help having video, and I was very fortunate to have access to that. But getting in the race car, it's a totally different feeling. Turn 1 and 2 is incredible. It's just the way you stink down in the seat. It's pretty incredible. So, honored to be here racing with such heritage here, and can't wait to get out there and see what we got.
Ryan Blaney said this place is unlike any place he has ever been. Nicole?
Thanks, guys. Well, Carl Edwards is back with us, and you told us earlier that this track was the most intimidating track that you had to go to in your rookie season. What did you do to prep for this place?
13 first-time drivers. There's going to be some exciting things happen tonight. This place, it is really tough, and I was fortunate. I had two folks that helped me a ton. Bobby Hudson. He's a veteran spotter, a guy that's been around this racetrack for seems like 100 years. And he was up there screaming at me the whole time. He told me for months before we came here, Carl, this is the toughest racetrack that you're ever going to go to. It's going to chew you up and spit you out. You have no clue what you're in for. He got me so scared that I went and found every tape I could. I had an in-car of Jeff Burton's Cup race here that he ran really well in, and I think he won. I drugged Jeff Burton. He was nice enough to come into the shop and watch that tape with me. And I was like, Mr. Burton, what are you thinking right here? How's the car feel right here? And he was explaining to me for seemed like an hour or so how he got around this place and the things he did and the things he was thinking. And I think that's what helped me at this place. But it is a very tough racetrack. I think that, truth be told, there are a lot of very nervous race car drivers down there.
It's funny that Carl brought up the watching the videotape, because we heard Ryan Blaney just mention that too. Some of the guys watch, and then some of the guys actually play the video games as well, Rusty. But there's a big difference between watching and playing than getting out there and actually doing it.
Well, there really is. I mean, these drivers need to prepare all they possibly can, especially if it's the very first time they've been there. You heard Ryan did all he possibly could. He listened, he watched, he did all that, then he went out the racetrack and practice here and crashed right off the bat. Yep. So you can only do so much. You've got to respect this racetrack. There's no way other than just get in the car, feel it, know what your limits are. But you got to remember one thing about here in Darlington. If your car doesn't handle, you can't make it handle. Don't overdrive this car. Stay working on it. Keep it underneath you.
So what's the one piece of advice that, if you're going to talk to a rookie right now, Red, what's the one piece of advice you're going to give them before they go out there?
I went out and I talked to Kurt Busch at length and Clint Boyer, and Kurt says be very generous when you're racing against competition and racing this racetrack. Be very generous. Give yourself a lot of room. Clint Boyer says the problem is you can't get out of the way. If you're out there and you're not competitive, you cannot get out of the way. So you just got to log laps. But two of the venerable veterans, Mike Bliss and Joe Nemechek, two of the guys I respect the most and most respect in that garage, both of them said, if you're going to do one thing, don't overdrive the corners of this racetrack. If you do anything, underdrive it. Because if you overdrive it, Rusty, you know what's going to happen.
Brad, I'll tell you, when I came here a couple of years ago with my own son, he crashed big time in practice. We got out of the hospital at 3 a.m. He came back the next day in a backup car. I went out there and just ran like a champ and finished 5th. And I said, kid, how'd you run so good after destroying one so bad the next day? I said, what was in your mind? He said, Dad, all I thought about was don't hit that wall, respect that wall.
That's right.
Had a good 5th place finish. So you got to respect the place. You really do.
So are they right, Carl? Respect the place, don't overdrive?
Yes, and I think the folks who don't have a stripe on their car already are going to be the first ones to go out there and make mistakes. I think almost having a problem in practice can help you. I sat on the pole here, I think it was 2008 or 2009, the Nationwide Series. I'm down there joking around with Clint Boyer. He's on the outside pole. I said, I'm going to take the outside. We're going to have some fun here. First lap, I drove right down to the turn 3 fence. And I just ruined our whole night. and it was because I wasn't respecting the racetrack. And as the fans watch tonight, just watch how these 3,500-pound cars slide into that corner, and they run right up to the fence. It is so difficult. There's so much skill involved in this, and you can see right there, a lot of guys have a little bit of trouble.
It is one of the very first things that we said when we came on the air. This place demands the respect of the drivers. Hey, have you ever wondered, and I know some of you have, what it is like to be in the ESPN pit studio with Rusty and Brad?
Come on down.
It is such an honor.
Can
I
order some dinner
But
on
if
that
you
thing?
are curious, join the conversation. Follow us on Twitter. You can talk to us at NASCAR ESPN. Just use the hashtag
Can we order a pizza on that thing? Can we get a pizza?
And as Brad,
get us some
says,
pizza
you
on
need
that
to
thing.
order some food for him.
Somebody order something.
In the real conversation of this show, when we come back, Travis Pastrana making his second start in the Nationwide Series, and the family behind him. This is entertaining. Oh, you be quiet over there. I see your face.
Tonight's the night Travis Pastrana has been waiting for since July.
What to watch for: Travis Pastrana making his Nationwide Series debut.
Did a tremendous job here tonight.
I expected to do worse. I had hoped to do better. I'm happy. The team did really good. They worked with me. Thank you, guys.
Today, Pastrana qualified 25th. Pastrana, as in Travis, the guy right there, put the name on the map in the late 1990s, early 2000s with motocross, supercross, the next game's success. But in Maryland, the name Pastrana means something entirely different. It means sticking to your guns, hard work, and family.
See that? Travis is not the only one that gets to play in the dirt. His uncles do, too.
This is basically where I grew up, and basically my dad always said, hey, you ever complain, you ever think it gets too hard, you ever don't want to be an athlete, always come back and work your ass off.
One of the first times Travis used this Bobcat, he took out 2 walls, a couple of shovels, and a wheelbarrow.
I told him go get an edger out of the truck. He took off running, flew to the truck, grabbed a whole bunch of tools. He didn't know what the hell an edger was.
I don't even know if they take me.
This is not a fallback. We only take certain people. He doesn't qualify.
That family was very much supportive, but not in a verbal sense of the word support. They'd do anything for you, and they did. Never expected a thank you, never had to be asked. When we were out of money, the family took pay cuts to help me get to the races, and they wouldn't expect anything in return. These guys, they work real hard and never work further than 5 miles away from here, and they're always off work by 2 o'clock to be able to pick all their kids up from school. They always come back from my grandma's to lunch. Come on. Hey, check it out. I blame Uncle Al because, I mean, like he said that you can be whatever you want, just not a football player because it's too dangerous.
I have to say aim high.
My dad's kind of the loudest of the family, I think, mostly because he went from Charlie's son to Alan's brother, and then
to Travis's father.
My relationship with my dad is better than the relationship with anyone. He's the guy I look up to probably the most, other than maybe my grandma my whole life.
Remember the time when Amber, that little girl, knocked him over in the 60 class up in New York, and he laid down and he cried for about a lap. And then he got up and he missed winning by about 20 feet. And he finally made it back and said, you want to cry? Fine. Cry while you're riding around the track.
We have a different way of showing our love and affection, I think, than anyone else on the face of the earth.
He said, later because I thought my leg was broken. I said, get up. If it's broken, you'll know it's broken. You got to get up. So at the X Games, he said, I laid there for a second. And I said, no, if I get up, I'll know for sure. And you see him, he tries to get up, and he called me and told me that night. He said, Dad, I did it. He said, I tried to get up, and the whole thing just fell apart. I said, good. It works.
There are a lot of good things about Robert, Travis' dad, that I see in Travis, but luckily, he's not just like his dad.
My dad goes, hey, I'd come to your wedding, but I already have previous engagement. I'm going down to Key West for Fantasy Fest.
It's just a wedding, It's just, if you love a kid, you don't have to be there every special occasion. They know you love them.
We didn't have his dad at our wedding. We had Flat Robert. We had a cardboard life-size cutout of Travis's dad at our wedding.
With my dad, everyone thinks, oh, he pushed you, he was so mean, he was this and that. There was 3 things. There was respect, don't be lazy, and stay true to your word. That's the only 3 things that he brought me up on. He said, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. That's the way I've always lived my life, and that's the way my parents and my family has always taught me, hey, if you believe in something, you go for it.
With NASCAR and rally car and X Games, you'd think at some point he's going to be a little you can't talk to, but he's not. And it's kind of neat to have a kid that
does well. Plus, knows his roots. Knows that he's just Travis.
Oh, that's good news for sure. Oh no.
Oh, that explains a lot about Travis Pastrana that we didn't already know. I want to know, from the things that we saw in that feature to the things that you've done professionally, do any of them prepare you for what you're about to do tonight at Darlington?
I think everything prepares a little bit, and definitely action sports have been great because everything else feels a little slower. You have a little more time to react. Having said that, this is the fastest, the tightest, the most narrow racing circumstance I've ever been in, and definitely the most nervous I've been in a four-wheel drive or four-wheel car.
Nicole, this track has action even when the cars are single file, so I think Travis is in the right place.
I'm still trying to get over that comment. It's just a wedding. It's just a wedding. I know, Brad, that you would rather Pastrana spend some time in the K&N series, get some more seat time, but I also know you were impressed with what he did in Richmond.
Without question. I would like to see him spend a little more time in the K&N series just simply because I want to see him be successful. I think that he has the tools. Obviously, he has the fearlessness. If he can learn the skills and acquire the ability, he can be successful driving this race car. I talked to Travis before the race, and we talked a little bit about these things. And he says, I'm scared to death of going out and qualifying this car, but I'm going to go out and do the very best I can. The difference between Travis Pastrana and Danica Patrick is Travis comes in here. He has been so successful. He's the best in the world ever at the X Games. He's had a lot of success. He comes in here with a lot of humility, and he is just trying to find his way, whereas Danica comes in and we're all talking about when's she going to win a race. That's the difference. So I have a lot of respect for this young man. I want to see him be successful. He brings a great set of eyeballs, young kids to this sport, a great amount of interest, and I'm really pulling for him. I'm cheering for him.
Brad, he's incredibly good. There's no doubt about that. But one thing that Travis does know is that these cars are totally different than anything he ever's run. These cars got to handle good. They got to stick those four tires to the track. He's got to understand that car if he's going to be successful. Now, look, today I saw him spin out in practice. Yeah. He did something remarkable. I mean, this baby's spinning. It's backwards. It's flying all over the racetrack. Look at this.
Perfect.
He's matting the throttle. He spins it around. Yeah. He holds on to it. He can do stuff like this, but you can't do that stuff in a race.
No, that's right.
He earned his stripe later. He didn't get it there.
He's got to understand how to get these cars to handle good. Then he'll be successful.
Yeah, we want to see these people come from these other environments and be successful, be competitive.
But have some respect for the sport
He's
as well.
Cool dude.
Pastrana is scheduled for 5 more races in the Nationwide Series. He's got tonight, obviously, Charlotte, New Hampshire, Chicago, Indy, and Atlanta. And in case you are just joining us, we've got another guest with us this evening. He's the newest member of our ESPN family. It is Carl Edwards, who is in the booth this evening. He'll be calling the race a little bit later with Alan Bestwick and Andy Petrie. But I want your perspective from the guy who's competing against Travis Pastrana, because there is a certain Pastrana effect. He is a well-respected athlete. So what does he bring to the table for this series?
Well, he brings a lot to the table, and I've been fortunate enough to be around Travis for a number of years now. He started racing on dirt up in Omaha, Nebraska with my little brother. My brother Kenny was one of the guys who helped him at the beginning. So years ago, my brother came home from the dirt track. He said, guys, Travis is insane. He tells a story about Travis just at the end of this race. Everybody's slowing down. The checkered flags waved. He's passing people left and right, driving. He had no clue the race was over. He was just he never would lift off the throttle. So they had to run people out on the track to slow him down to get him to stop racing. I've also been to Europe a couple times with the Race of Champions years later, and I've seen how good he is. His car control is amazing. He raced against Formula One champions, people from all over the world, and he did a lot better the last time we were there than I did. So I think he has a huge natural talent. I think that story says that he has a great upbringing, and hopefully he'll be a force in this sport for a long time.
Race of Champions, he beat Michael Schumacher. I mean, that does say
pretty
something.
Big time right there.
I did think you did say something. Travis Pastrana is insane. You have met Alan and Andy, right?
Oh, man.
Yes, I have.
You haven't seen nothing.
It's sport's full of these guys.
Have fun. No, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back upstairs in the booth in just a few minutes. When we come back, we'll talk about a couple of successful drivers. But fans, check this out. Race Buddy. It's enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races. More camera views than ever. 8 high-definition camera angles. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/Race Buddy. One driver to check out this evening happens to be pretty good at this track. His name, Denny Hamlin, starts second tonight. His numbers here, insane. Hear about them when we come back.
Darlington Stripe is a racing rite of passage, the mark of NASCAR adulthood. It's the one body shot every young racer fears, but also deep down craves. A pop of paint that's one part pain and one part pride.
About 26 minutes to green flag at this track with a couple of nicknames. The Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. Her given name is Darlington Raceway. Most drivers, though, call her intimidating. Denny Hamlin is not most drivers, at least at this track. He has made 6 Nationwide Series starts here. He's won 3 times with an average finish of 3.3. Tonight, Dr. Jerry Punch is going to start second.
Indeed, he will, Nicole, and wow, that's impressive. 6 times you've been here. We just told folks you've won 3 of those. Batting 500 at Darlington, that says a lot. Hey, just why are you so good at this place, Denny?
I really don't know. I mean, I wish I could, tell everyone and the world would be great, but it just seems like all the technical, really hard racetracks like Pocono and Martinsville and here, it just, figure them out. Any track where it's a challenge for a driver to figure out the course and the different lines and things like that, I feel like we excel at. So I've been blessed with great race cars and been lucky to be with Joe Gibbs Racing during that spell, and hopefully we got another good Sport Clips Toyota tonight.
Now, some of your peers say it's tire management from the seat, one of the things you're really good at here. And they say the tires can go away, but you can do some things to bring them back. What do you do?
I mean, a lot of things that you can do to save tires. For me, I try to, make sure all the tires are going straight. The tires get saved when they're heading in a straight line. It's when you're cornering with them that they get used up. So I make the straightaways as long as possible. I release the wheel out of the corner as quick as I can and just do those things.
Hey, thanks for being our in-race reporter tonight, by the way.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it should be interesting. You got Carl up there, a little wild card, so it'll be fun tonight.
Yeah, Carl may ask some questions, too, by the way. If you want to pose a question to Denny Hamlin as our in-race reporter, log on to ESPN.com, and the key phrase is in-race reporter. Let's go over to Vince Welch.
Thanks, Doc. In their first year of existence, Kyle Busch Motorsports had some early struggles, but through some hard work, those growing pains have eased. The breakthrough 2 weeks ago at Richmond when Kurt Busch made it a family celebration, out-tooling Denny Hamlin in that thrilling win, the first trip ever at Victory Lane for KBM. And then last week at Talladega, Kyle was behind the wheel of the KBM machine in a down-to-the-wire finish that saw him come up runner-up to Joey Logano. Certainly has been a dramatic couple of weeks for him. And Kurt in the 54 again tonight. And Kurt, how have the last couple of weeks with this team buoyed the mojo, if you will, of the 54 group?
It's been great. Just turning the corner, the tough start to the season. A couple guys were like, what's the key ingredient that we're missing? Well, you just got to polish up in a lot of different areas, whether it's aerodynamics, chassis, the bodies, the motor department, you name it. We just had to keep polishing in all areas. So Kyle hasn't given up. He's still writing the checks, and we got a great group of leaders, veteran leaders like Rick Wren and Mike Beam, crew chief. He's all over it. He's got great experience, and he's guiding all of us through all this on building the cars and getting us to this point. But what's funny is I keep telling him I'm a rookie, so treat me like a rookie.
Nationwide practice at 8:30 this morning, racing under the lights tonight. Real quickly, what's the big difference?
Well, the temperatures are coming down, and so the track will have the grip like it did this morning. The only thing that's very different is the track is rubbered in a bunch with all of the Nationwide practice and Cup practice. So I'm going to let the guys set the pace early and then see if we can't jump on them at the end and do a dance with the lady.
54 has been real good so far today. Nicole?
It's been very good today. Part of that is the driver. And Brad, something's been standing out to me because you can't stop talking about a conversation you had with Kurt in which you said Kurt Busch is a changed man. And I quote.
I'm telling you, I sat on with Kurt today, and we did a little bench racing down the race shop where everybody was going in the garage. And we talked about everything from my racing late models to racing in the NASA, all the racing I do, and he was just so intrigued. And he says, I want to do some of that. I want to go race with you and hang out and do some of that. And it just blew me away. We talked for 35 minutes about this. He wants to get back to the grassroots of racing so badly. It's unbelievable.
So a couple of times this week I've heard you think you've seen it all and then you get to Darlington. Or you can't race your competitors, you have to race the track. I don't know what that really means, though. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, I really will explain it. Number one, I'll tell you what, the number one thing you got to do, though, is keep the car off the wall. That's what they really mean. It's that simple, but I think we probably ought to take a lap around this racetrack and take a look at what I'm actually talking about.
starting in turn 2, because
turn
that's
2,
where
you carry a
earn your
lot of
stride.
speed. You see him hit the wall right there. You really use that corner up because there's a lot of speed on exit, which gets you down into turn 3. So let's start off on the exit of turn 4 and see if we can take a lap around this racetrack and see what it looks like, because when you come off at turn 4, you carry so much speed down into turn 1, it's unbelievable. When you get down into turn 1, you're a flat flying. You got to pick that throttle up. Here's Danica Patrick right now at the start-finish line going down into turn 1. Not out of the throttle much, back in the throttle real hard. You got to carry a lot of momentum right here. Now as you exit turn 2, this is where it really gets tight. You're carrying a boatload of speed, Brad, down this back straightaway, entering turn 3.
And that's what you want. You want to get off of 2 and have that speed, but the problem everyone's having is right here. As you get into 3, the car gets really, really tight. It means it wants to chase up towards the wall. They're having a difficult time getting this car to change directions as it gets off of 4.
And you're going to see him clobber the wall on the exit of turn 2, in the middle of turn 3 and 4 all night long. And I don't care if it's rookies or veterans, it's going to happen.
And we'll have aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. As you just saw, this gorgeous egg-shaped track. Only DirecTV gives you dedicated driver channels, so you'll never miss a second of your driver's race. Call 1-800-DirecTV. We did this a couple weeks ago at Richmond, because Richmond is also a Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick track. At this track, we just talked about Denny Hamlin being so good here. If I were to give you Denny Hamlin or the field, who would you take?
I'd choose Casey Kane.
So you take the field.
Casey Kane's the guy that can win this race. He is Mr. High Line. You got to run on the high line.
Stay high here. I agree.
This really fits his driving style.
Denny Hamlin or the field?
Ricky Stenhouse is going to win this race.
2 people taking the field. Interesting. We'll find out if they're right after 147 laps.
I reserve the right
Darlington.
to change my mind. We're at Darlington.
Of course you do. We'll see you in a second. Don't go anywhere.
A look down on NASCAR's oldest superspeedway, Darlington Raceway. Billed as the track too tough to tame. Many have tried to tame this egg-shaped oval over 63 years of racing. Well, drivers tonight are going to get set to try again. They know they won't tame it, but some sure hope that they get along with it better than all the others. NASCAR Nationwide Series racing for 200 miles tonight at the track too tough to tame, beginning in just moments. Alan Bestwick welcoming you to Darlington. When Harold Brasington plowed this racetrack out of a cotton field, there wasn't any such thing as computer-aided design. The result was an oddly shaped racetrack that has challenged and frustrated stock car racing's best drivers for now some 63 years. For the drivers, racing here at Darlington Raceway is like for competitors in other sports being perhaps a jockey at Churchill Downs or a baseball player at Fenway Park. Winning here just means something a little bit more than at an ordinary place. And one driver gets a chance tonight to take a trophy again away from Darlington Raceway. Question tonight is, which driver is it going to be that takes that trophy home, Dave Burns?
Alan, you set things up perfectly for the atmosphere right now down here at the racetrack. It's electric, but with a little sense of trepidation, because these drivers know just how close to disaster they have to get in order to be successful. You know, racetrack walls are usually built only to contain, but these famous walls at Darlington Raceway, well, they are treacherous partners in speed. Alan?
Dave, thanks. And as we get set to go trackside for tonight's opening ceremony, that ceremony will include a moment to remember one of the great innovators in the American automobile industry, Carroll Shelby, who passed away yesterday at the age of 89, being remembered by many in the garage area, many in the automobile industry, those including Jack Roush, who had so much respect for Carroll Shelby. We certainly honor his memory. He will be missed. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the South Carolina Air National Guard Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. And race fans, join us in a moment of silence as we honor the memory of Carroll Shelby, the legendary designer, racer, and motorsports icon who passed away yesterday at the age of 89. Thank you. And please remain standing as Associate Pastor of Youth Ministries at the First Baptist Church of Darlington, Jordy Gandy, offers tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for so many things tonight, Lord. First, Lord, we thank you so much for this beautiful night for racing. Lord, we thank you so much this weekend for our mothers who mean so much for the family. We just ask for a night of safe racing, and we thank you so much this weekend for our troops, Lord. And we thank you, finally, Lord, for your Son, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to save us from our sins. And it's his name we pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from the 169th Fighter Wing, South Carolina Air National Guard, Tech Sergeant Stephen David.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it for Tech Sergeant Stephen David for his performance of our national anthem.
Time to buckle in for the drivers. Get ready to go racing at Darlington. The engines fire when we come back.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Darlington is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote.
It is a spectacular Friday night in Darlington, South Carolina for the NASCAR Nationwide Series to go racing at this famed old track for the 52nd time. 43 drivers buckling in. The command to start engines is coming up in just a couple of moments, and then they'll turn them loose to see who fares best tonight at the track. Too tough to tame. So here at Darlington Raceway tonight, we've got a new member joining in on our broadcast crew. A little bit of a lineup shuffle for us, and he knows a little bit about racing here at Darlington. He's done quite a bit of it over the years, and he knows a thing or three about racing in this NASCAR Nationwide Series as well. 37 wins, and oh, by the way, the 2007 Series Championship. I don't know that there's room inside our broadcast booth for a victory flip if the broadcast turns out well, but we look forward to his opinions. Carl Edwards joining champion crew chief Andy Petrie for the night. Start with you, Carl. This Darlington racetrack. What's fun about it? What's tough about it for a driver?
Man. Well, it's the same things. The fun part about Darlington is that it's so challenging. I mean, you drive down in the corners and you have to just battle with yourself. You want to go harder into the corners, but it's about getting in the corner right, getting on the throttle early, making a lot of speed around the center of the corners. The toughest things are doing that without putting those big stripes on the walls that you see. So it's an intimidating racetrack. It's almost as intimidating as being up here in this booth with you guys. And it's a track that when you do well here, you feel like you really accomplished something.
You brought up an example, which you'll learn, by the way, in this TV thing, to never, ever do in a meeting when it's something that maybe you don't want to go back and relive. But you mentioned in our production meeting earlier today about a race you started on the pole that didn't last very long for you in a good spot.
Oh, I was feeling great. I was just having a blast driving, and I definitely messed that up. That was the second hit. The first one's the one that knocked the tire down. But you're going to see a lot of that tonight. You're going to see folks being a little bit over-aggressive. I heard one of the drivers talking about getting a good start and getting good position right here at the beginning. That's not what you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about not hitting that fence and ruining your night. And it's a long race.
Yeah, and it's tough for the crew chiefs, too, because we got to fix all that stuff that you guys tear up. And trying to keep the car competitive. The guys are going to hit the wall at some point in the race, and the guys in the pits have to fix it, try to get it back in shape where they can compete to win at the end. And we can see cars get against the wall and still be able to win.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got a couple different things going on here. You've got guys that are racing for the championship. They're worried for the folks that are in the race that don't know what they're really doing yet. And the folks that don't know what they're doing yet are worried for a bunch of other reasons. So there's a lot of nerves out there right now, I can tell you that.
It's going to be another interesting twist on the night, too. Darlington, for years, known as a place that chewed up tires. Strategy was simple. Caution came out, you came in, put on 4 fresh tires. After they repaved it in 2008, it wasn't that way. And I'm not sure what kind of strategy we might see late in this race tonight.
Well, but the crew chiefs don't either. We're going to be watching the lap times to see if that opportunity even exists with this track with another year on it.
Ask Regan Smith if you should get tired.
Yeah. Last year the answer was no. Well, tonight we'll find out. Before any of that happens, we got to start the engines.
Words in motorsports. Please welcome founder and CEO of Sport Clips Haircuts, Gordon Logan, and Director of Communication and Public Affairs of the VFW, Jerry Newberry.
On behalf of our nation's veterans, thank you. Drivers, start your engines.
You can fire up. Fired up, love it. Ben, what do I need to run for fans once we get rolling here? Here about
run the gear and the right rear bead. That is now off the gear. So just run.
Time to go racing here at Darlington. When the Nationwide Series has come here the last few years, it's meant Denny Hamlin up front. Our in-race reporter tonight, well, who better to pick than Denny Hamlin? Last 4 tries at Darlington for Hamlin, first, and second. It's a pretty good record. He starts second tonight. Can he make it another Darlington win? We'll talk with Denny on the pace laps. Actually, Carl gets to talk with Denny on the pace laps in just a minute.
Forget the cars around you. Forget the racers you're chasing or the ones who are chasing you. Keep one eye on the blacktop, the other on the wall. Tonight, you're not racing other racers. You're racing the racetrack.
It's an old saying about Darlington Raceway, race the racetrack, but old sayings get to be old sayings because generally they're true. And that will be the case tonight. Race the racetrack for 43 drivers in the NASCAR Nationwide Series as they roll out onto Darlington Raceway to begin their parade and pace laps before the green flag. So we just spent a good chunk of time hearing from Rusty and Brad during NASCAR Countdown from the pit studio, and now they're going to spend a good chunk of time going back and forth with you during the race. Join the conversation. Hashtag is Pit Studio. It's at NASCAR ESPN. They'll share their thoughts. They'll take your questions. Brad's already been asked 3 or 4 times about whether he's eaten yet or not during the telecast.
Yeah, I think you asked him.
I asked him, actually. Jump on Twitter if you want to be part of that conversation. All right, so as the cars roll onto the track to begin the parade and pace laps, wasn't it when we started this ESPN in-race reporter thing, you were the very first one, right?
I may have been. I remember thinking it was pretty neat to be able to talk to you guys from my race car and talk to the viewers.
Carl Edwards joining us, and now he's going to be on the other end of the microphone tonight with tonight's in-race reporter, who is Denny Hamilton. Have at it.
Yeah, let's see if Denny's got the radio mic'd up here. Hey, Denny, it's Carl. How's it going?
We're pretty good so far.
All right, well, I've got a couple questions for you, and you're going to like this first one, I think. It's from Camden in Kansas City, Missouri. Do you think the Nationwide Series is better with or without Carl Edwards racing this year?
Oh, much better, for sure. It increases my odds of winning.
All right, well, I somehow I knew that's what you were going to say. I'll tell you, I do have a real question about the race. So, you're starting right there next to a really fast racer, Ricky Stenhouse. You're on the outside. What's your strategy? How aggressive are you going to be here at the start? And, you've got more wins here, I think, than anyone in the field. What are you going to do on the start of the race?
Well, hopefully everybody kind of plays nice into turn 1. That's always a challenge, the first challenge you come by. But, he got the pole, so, my intention, unless I'm ahead of him at the start finish line, is to give him the spot into turn 1 and pass him the old-fashioned way.
All right, man. Well, thanks for letting me talk to you before the race. Have good luck out there, and I think Andy's going to talk to your crew chief.
Hey, Matt, Andy Petrie in the booth. Do you have us?
Hey, Andy, how you doing tonight?
Hey, pretty good, man. You had a lot of practice this morning. A long time ago, though, it looks like this track has changed some from last year. Is that opportunity still there to possibly use some strategy at the end of the race with maybe 2 or no tires?
Yeah, possibly. It's definitely changing. I think this is the 5th year with the new pavement here. Last year, we took tires, and we got it. But no tires was a good choice, too, and they did a good job. So it'll come down to pit strategy and track position tonight for sure.
Okay, man, I liked it back when it was a no-brainer and you had to change 4 every time. But good luck with your decisions and good luck in the race. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, Andy. Have a good night.
All right, so Denny Hamlin, our in-race reporter, and his team getting set to go. Certainly the weather couldn't be any better than it is tonight here in Darlington. Check it out.
It's a beautiful night. It wasn't as hot as it's been down here in years past. And one question, can we talk to Denny during the green out there? Can I just pipe up?
We tried that with an in-race reporter once.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Somebody got a severe
got in trouble.
talking to from Mike Helton, I think.
Yeah, I said we didn't have a problem with it, but it wasn't smiled upon very much. Carrying our over-the-wall camera tonight, Josh Sebecki, rear tire carrier for Austin Dillon, getting ready to go here in South Carolina. Have a great night, Josh. And some great onboard views with our high-definition cameras as these cars roar around this tough old track. Elliott Sadler's carrying our Chevy camera. Austin Dillon with the AdvoCare on board. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the Ford EcoBoost camera. Danica Patrick, the GoDaddy.com on board. Denny Hamlin, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Brad Keselowski with the Dodge camera. Kurt Busch, the Nationwide Insurance camera. And Travis Pastrana has got our Goodyear camera. Final stories from pit road. Jamie Little starts us off.
Well, Alan, it has been 48 races here at Darlington since we've seen a first-time winner in the Nationwide Series at this track. But that could all change tonight. We have a handful of first-time starters. Among those, Ryan Blaney, Travis Pastrana, Danica Patrick. All 3 qualified mid-pack, but it's Travis Pastrana who hit the wall. It forced the team to make some changes, and of course, he will drop to the back. Vince Welch?
This is race number 9 for first-year team Kyle Busch Motorsports. They're confident in their short track and super speedway packages, but the intermediate package, is still in question. They hope tonight provides some answers. They've got speed, and they've got Kurt Busch in the seat. That's a good place to start. Doc?
And just a reminder, for 6 decades, Darlington Raceway has eaten up race tires. You put 4 on every time you can stop. Tonight, that will not happen. Some teams will roll the dice, 2 tires, maybe none, and stay out and try to steal the win. Alan? Right now.
Doc, thanks. You were saying?
Yeah, I was saying this is the hardest part right now. You got double file cars, bumper to bumper. A lot of these folks have no clue what it's going to be like to drive down to turn 1. It's about a car width and a half wide. This is going to be, you got those in-car cameras, all you're going to see is eyeballs if you look at them right now.
Are you going to be the guy that gives a spot or takes a spot?
Always give on the first start, always.
147 laps around the 1.366 mile track to make up the 200-mile distance tonight. Pace car is off. It's time to go racing at Darlington. As he said he would, Denny Hamlin gave some ground.
I just saw why Denny Hamlin was so good here. He just gave that spot completely to Stenhouse going in that corner. Didn't contest it at all. He knows that you can't even come close to winning this thing in the first lap.
And the fans at home are saying, well, why does that make him good to give up a spot? He's smart. This race is not going to be won right now. You see Austin Dillon. That's pretty amazing how well he's running, this whole weekend, practice, qualifying. Let's see if he can keep that up through the race.
The one thing I've noticed with Austin this year is how...
trouble. Car on the wall, turn 2. Ryan Blaney.
That was a hard lick.
And Jeremy Clements in the 51 has also gone and contacted the inside wall. Wow.
Good that, boys.
I think that might have been Roderick there had some damage too. That was a hard lick for Blaney. Welcome to Darlington.
Chase Miller got a piece of it in the 46.
Just carries so much speed off that corner right there.
Dude, it'll be interesting. I bet that developed a lot earlier in the corner. Hopefully they can get these put back together and these guys can go out there and get some more experience. That one looks pretty torn up.
A lot of work.
Just stop right here. Just stop right here. See if we can get it.
Ryan was running 18th at the time. And that is one seriously damaged race car.
He is frustrated in there right now.
That had to ring your bell, too, a little bit. That was a pretty good look.
Young man who did such a great job at Richmond and did a great job in practice earlier today. Just looking to run all the laps and get as much experience as he could. It's not going to work out the way that he was wanting.
Let's look at Travis Pastrana's on board here and see if we can see what happens.
Roll out, roll out, roll out, roll out, roll out, roll out. Straight through the middle here. You're all good.
All right, first caution out early in the going. Darlington Raceway. We'll take a break. We'll come back for the restart and follow up on the accident. Moment ago, young Ryan Blaney climbing from his car on Darlington's pit lane after the accident that brought out the yellow just 2 laps into the event. Another look at it, running in 18th position at the time.
And it appears like he just got a little bit loose up there. I don't know if the track was a little dirty. A car actually did the same thing way up there behind him. And I'm sure he is really frustrated. He is a great race car driver. He did a great job at Richmond. And I guarantee you he won't do that next time he's here. It's hard to learn those lessons, but he's a good kid.
Jamie?
Well, the team called him on the radio and said, "Are you okay?" And you didn't say anything. You just rubbed your eyes. I know they were concerned about you. First off, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just gotta apologize to everybody, Tommy Bowen Racing, and everyone from Seal Wrap. You know, they put a lot of effort into this car and into me this weekend, and I don't know. We got loose there, and I wasn't able to catch it. So all my fault, and sorry for everyone that worked so hard, but get it put back together and hopefully go to Kentucky.
All right, next race, as he said, will be Kentucky in the Nationwide Series. Heartbreaker, Alan. Last time we saw this kid, he finished 7th in his Nationwide debut.
It's tough business, this auto racing thing.
But there's a kid that took responsibility for what happened. He apologized to the people that he needed to apologize to. And if he's that hard on himself, he's going to be just fine.
We'll be right back. For the 4th time in the last 5 races for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Darlington, there was a caution in the opening 5 laps of the race. This one involving Ryan Blaney, Jeremy Clements, Chase Miller, and a couple of others. Got some minor damage. Matt Fromm was involved as well. The cleanup has been completed. The field is doubled up and coming to the restart. Quick reminder to check out RaceBuddy, enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Denny Hamlin started side by side in the front row. Stenhouse Jr. led the opening laps. First time that Stenhouse has led at Darlington. Now they're doubled up to do it again.
We'll see if Denny, I bet he has enough patience. I bet he gives it up again. We'll see what happens here.
Austin Dillon 3, Kurt Busch, as you look at the rest of the restart order being shown you there.
A lot of sweaty palms. Folks going, man, don't be the guy who wrecks the next time. Tell you what, Kurt was being really aggressive there through the top of 1 and 2, right on Denny's back bumper.
54 getting up into 3rd position. Austin Dillon shuffled back to 4th, side by side from about 5th on back. 12 is Sam Hornish, and Joey Logano slipping in behind him in the 20. Black and white car inside lane. Casey Kane in the 38 trying to move up.
Made a little contact on the straightaway. Allgaier and Kane still side by side.
It's a tough spot to be in right there. That's the toughest spot on the racetrack. Coming down that hill side by side. Casey was doing everything he could not to slide up and hit that 31 car.
They are teammates in this series.
I don't know if that makes you try harder or makes you more careful.
Just behind them, Brendan Gaughan in the 33 for Richard Childress Racing tonight. Trying to get a spot on Brian Scott in the 11. Not that time. Brad Keselowski trying to take advantage of any momentum hesitation on the part of Brendan Gaughan there.
And right now everyone's feeling their cars out. They're getting a sense of where these tires are headed, where their balance is headed. seeing who's weak in what spots and where can they get an advantage.
And it's watching the lap times. The leader's running times close to qualifying the first couple of laps. We'll watch and see how much that falls off over the course of the run.
As typical here at Darlington, they get single file pretty quickly. And then we begin to look for people with a run and those momentum breaks that cause positions to change hands here.
And right now, Denny's stalking Ricky Stenhouse. Denny's sitting there with a ton of experience. Ricky's up there leading this thing. Probably the best thing for Ricky is to, if Denny gets to him, to let him go by and then build your confidence by following him, learning something. But Ricky does such a great job. I don't think confidence. He's never lacking confidence, but we'll see what Denny's able to do with him here.
You watch the rearview mirror more at a track like this than you might someplace else?
I think here it's actually a little simpler. It's one lane. You know that Denny's a veteran. He's not going to stuff the car in somewhere and really give you trouble. So, Ricky's probably not looking at this view right now. He's looking out that front window.
Not much lift on that gas pedal through that corner for Stenhouse.
Saw Elliott Sadler putting a little pressure on Austin Dillon a lap or two ago. It looks like Dillon's actually pulled out a car length or two on him. One thing I was going to say about Austin Dillon, though, is he's done such a good job this year of keeping his car clean and out of trouble and still be able to run fast. But this could be a true test for him, though.
He must get that from his mother.
So Mike.
Yeah. I spent a little time over there when Austin and his brother were young riding dirt bikes, and they're wild.
31 Allgaier did not get off turn too well at all. Here comes Brian Scott trying to get a run.
This corner down there is really slippery. Seems like the rubber's laid into the racetrack. It's a much different racetrack on the bottom than it is on the top. So if your car's working on the bottom, which it looks like Brian's is, you're able to make the car go around there and do some things that a guy on the top can't. But if your car won't work on the bottom, you're stuck with that top groove in 3 and 4. It's a little bit tough.
What does it take to get your car to work down there? Do you need to be freer to run there? Or
it seemed to me that if I moved up, I could get my car to free up, and if I moved down to the bottom, it would just slide the nose. Right here, it would slide the nose up to the fence. So it's looks like we got a battle for the lead
inside. Denny Hamlin as they come up on lap traffic. Slow car just ahead as they exit this corner.
It looked to me like Ricky might have been a little bit loose up there coming down the hill.
Hey, Ricky looks loose all the time.
I noticed that.
That was Derek Cope in the 70. The leaders just put a lap down, and he gave way nicely.
To me, this is Ricky Stenhouse's type of racetrack. I know Ricky just a little bit, and he's not worried about car being sideways.
Elliott Sadler up to 4th spot. Austin Dillon back to 5th.
Elliott told Austin a lot about this racetrack. Now he's going to show him some stuff.
And you see in that hesitation around the slower car, the accordion there with Hornish and Logano closing right in.
One thing that Elliott Sadler showed Austin Dillon was that, hey, you catch a car in that corner at that spot, is just to back off. Just go through their single file. Don't try to force it.
Yeah, it feels like you're losing so much here when you lift and you let a guy, get his car straightened out or get out of the way, but you're really not. You're putting yourself at a huge risk if you go down there and you stuff a car where it's not supposed to be.
Here's another smart move.
Look at that. That's a points leader move right there. Ricky said, go right ahead, man.
Denny Hamlin through, second leader of the race. His Joe Gibbs Racing teammate, Joey Logano, in the 20, last week's winner at Talladega. Easing underneath Sam Hornish into one, and Casey Kane trying to follow. .38 car looks pretty quick.
Yeah, Casey's really good here. He's a guy that grew up racing sprint cars and stuff. He's used to sticking the right rear up there and really driving the car around the corner, and he's fast at this place.
So that race going on for 7th and 8th spots. And it is 5.4 seconds behind the leader, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin now out in front of Stenhouse and driving away a little bit, Dave.
And Alan, Ricky never lost confidence today when he found the Darlington wall on lap 2 of practice. Just one-time lap and then bam, into the wall. I asked crew chief Mike Kelly, well, how'd you guys handle it? Did you talk about it? And he said, I've learned how to talk to Ricky about stuff like that. I didn't spend much time on it. He knows he hit the wall, and if you dwell on stuff like that, it will slow him down. And he was thinking back to 2010 when he was learning and so nervous. So we let it go. He got the pole, and look how good he is.
Hanging in second, chasing the man who is the Nationwide Series master at this racetrack in recent years. Denny Hamlin, 3 firsts and a second in his last 4 tries here, and he's out in front in the early going of this one tonight. The NASCAR Nationwide Series in the Help a Hero 200 at Darlington Raceway. Pretty early in the going, Denny Hamlin out in front, having passed pole sitter Ricky Stenhouse Jr. About 5 laps ago. Got 13 drivers in the field tonight that have never run a Nationwide Series race here before at Darlington, including a couple of high-profile ones. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and check in on Danica and Travis. Jamie?
Well, Danica Patrick has just slipped a couple positions, 17th. She started this race in 15th. Now it has been an extremely long day for her. She's doing double duty, running the Cup car for the second time in her career. Told me right before the start of this race, she had a kink in her neck and she was drinking electrolytes, just trying to replenish her body. It has been kind of warm, but her day started early with Nationwide Series practice. She's saying right now the car is just too tight as she slips another position. Now, Travis Pastrana, he qualified 25th for this race, but because he got into the wall, they had to repair the car. He dropped back as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is putting Travis Pastrana 1 lap down. We're here on lap 30. But Travis saying his car is so tight, he can't make it work, can't do anything. And moments ago, he had a little run-in, Alan.
Yeah. Travis found out that passing at Darlington requires cooperation.
Cooperation. Yeah, he the front of his car, he's tight. The front of his car slid up a little bit, and he did a good job of backing out of it.
That's Jamie Dick in the 23, another of the Darlington first-timers.
Both of them did a pretty good job not to crash in that situation.
Yes, very much.
Well, it looks like Denny is pulling away. He's got a really great race car right now. He's running pretty fast lap times. He's working his way through traffic really well. It's a shame they got all that pavement.
Yeah.
And the guys only use that top part. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? Is there just no grip down there? Looks like you could run there.
There isn't grip down there. You race above that dotted line, and the banking just gets steeper and steeper until you get right to the fence.
Now, another story that I want to update. During qualifying, if you were with us earlier this afternoon, Cole Witt got into the wall pretty heavily, resulted in the 88 team having to pull out a backup car, so he had to start from the tail end of the field. Witt is all the way up to 18th place in the opening 31 laps of this one. That's pretty good, Dave.
Alan, I talked to crew chief Bruce Cook on the pace laps. I said, so did you kind of set it up so it's high out of the track and conservative just to get him some laps and hope you pit real soon? And he said, no way. We went aggressive. We hope we got it right. And on the first few laps, Cole radioed in, said, the splitter is not hitting the track. The car is just a little bit tight. It's not bad.
Cole does have some experience here at Darlington. Ran a Truck Series race here and started on pole for that race. Did some leading of laps. Joey Logano moving up. Last week's Talladega winner to 4th spot. I don't know, opening laps, we could see 20 and 18 deciding this one.
I have to say, I hope Stenhouse is in the mix.
Yeah, I know.
I tried to leave all my bias at the door, but I'm cheering for Ricky in this race. Those guys really are good, though. I mean, the 18 and 20, they've got something figured out here at this racetrack. You know, Ricky is doing an amazing job.
Saw a problem getting in the corner right there.
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace. It looked like he may have blew a right front tire. Something broke.
Now that changes the strategy for tires or no tires. I think that a lot of people are going to be looking at their tires here.
The right front looks like it's up. It looks like it may have broke something.
Yeah, you're right.
What it broke something after it hit.
Something broke.
right front tire.
Yeah, it's probably on the liner. It could be on the liner. But boy, it sure looked like it blew right front. You see something come out of the car right before it goes in the wall.
A look ahead from Kurt Busch. Mike was 23rd, first car 1 lap down. And now has an awful lot of damage.
That tire could have gone down. It might be on the liner. You can see now it's shredded, and it still looks like it's up. So he probably did blow a tire getting in the corner.
So second caution out, and we are just under 50 miles into this race, already quickly, almost to a quarter of the distance. And teams are going to get a first chance to tune up on those cars and see if they can catch Hamlin.
Yeah, they probably want to get in here and look at this tire wear, too. How did the tires look on your car after practice, Carl? Were they wearing pretty heavily?
I didn't look at them too close. I think I'll be making a phone call here in a minute. I'm texting Bob Osborne.
What you see of the green racetrack here is that you'll see some high tire wear in practice, and it usually goes away in the race. I just wonder if you can see the track's rubbered in pretty well. It's pretty black. Yeah, now getting into pit road is a little unique here. Under caution, it's really not that big of a deal, but under green, this is a very difficult pit road to get to, and looks like everybody got caught up okay.
All right. Pit stops for the first time. Vince?
Kurt Busch coming in, and he says it's just been a little bit too loose here in the early going. A 3 out of 5, so they're going to take a turn out of the right rear wedge, air out of the right rear tire, and 4 tires. Doc?
And Denny Hamlin said he was getting a little vibration in the rear of the car, getting worse and worse, so that's gone away now. A little tight out exiting 2. 4 tires and fuel, no changes. Dave Burke.
4th place Logano on your upper right. He'll take Sunoco fuel. He'll get a wedge and air pressure adjustment for a car that's a little bit tight. Ricky Stenhouse, 2nd place car. He will take a wedge adjustment as well, air pressure. His car also was difficult to turn. Now as they come down pit road, Hamlin speeds by. He'll hang on to the lead, Alan.
And Logano is going to edge out ahead of Stenhouse for the 2nd spot. That is how your restart lineup will look after the cleanup is wrapped up from caution number 2, out after Mike Wallace had a problem and hit the wall in turn 1. Still under caution at Darlington. Reminder that Sunday night at 8, the Angels ace Jared Weaver looks to shut the Rangers' explosive lineup down. Josh Hamilton leading the charge there. Then Monday night at 7 Eastern, bitter rivals clash. Starlin Castro leads the Cubs against the St. Louis Cardinals. Both games available on ESPN, ESPN3, and live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, and Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. You're a Missouri guy. You a Cardinals guy?
Yeah, like
or are you just a racing guy?
I'm a Red Sox guy. Really,
yeah, there you go.
Geography says I'm a Cardinals guy.
Just asking. Just asking. That's not good, Doc. That's Justin Allgaier's car.
Yeah, no, back in, Alan. They came in and put a rubber in the right rear and made a little wedge adjustment because the car was too tight. But now he's got something rubbing in the front. He said he's getting a lot of brake shake, but the steering wheel isn't moving. They came in and made an adjustment in the front. We'll check and see what they found. We're going to let him down and let him go back out. Let's check in with Dave Burke.
Doc tires are always a story here. They're wearing very well so far. You're looking at Joey Logano's set of tires. This is the left rear right here. Wear marks still very apparent. The right rear that the crew chief is always telling him, don't drive it off. Save that right rear for me. Wear marks very good on his right rear as well.
Yeah, that's a good sign right there.
The
driver always likes to know that, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah, and the driver likes the truth, too.
Hey, we always tell the truth.
Yeah,
we do.
I love it when the crew chiefs, tires are great. Man, I don't feel that great. But yeah, Joey's doing a great job. His picker did a really good job getting him out there. That's 2 positions I think he gained on pit road.
Yep.
That's a lot easier to pass guys on pit road than it is to pass here at Darlington on the.
Yeah, it might be for the driver. It's hard to pass them down there if you're a tire changer.
As the field gets the 1-to-go signal at the start-finish line, Justin Allgaier is just now leaving the pit lane, Doc.
He started to leave, Alan, and they said, whoa, 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 whoa. He felt something rubbing, and what it was, they took the left front tire off. He had a lug nut stuck in the brake caliper behind the left front tire they had put on. That was what was rubbing. Took the tire off, got the lug nut out, and he is away and barely missed losing a lap. AB?
I don't understand why that doesn't happen more. You see these lug nuts flying all over the place, and it'll sometimes fall down between the caliper and the rotor, and then it'll wind up in there, and it can be devastating.
And this is something we don't talk about a lot, that is a driver is so hard to have the confidence to say, guys, something is wrong. I'm coming down there. There's something wrong, and to give up your position on the racetrack. That was a great call by Justin.
And we see Kurt Busch up there in that 54. I noticed on his pit stop he had been into the wall a little bit on that right side.
Yeah, he said it was loose, so it was only the right rear that was scraped up.
Still running good, though.
How bad is it?
That's not bad. That might speed it up, actually, square off that right rear.
Flatten it off.
Remember, check out Race Buddy, fans. Enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races. More cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy.
Now, the stats guy says the average green flag stretch was 20 laps or less in the last 8 races here, so there could be a lot of these restarts.
Saying this could be a series of sprints.
Yes.
You got to watch the test, guys.
Hamlin inside, Logano to the outside. At Stenhouse trying to keep Logano pinned to the outside.
Now, the leaders here are thinking, okay, don't mess this up. Stenhouse is thinking, take advantage of these guys. Joey wants to lead this thing.
How bad does he want it?
I think he wants it that bad right there.
Joey Logano to the point. Hamlin for second. Stenhouse third. Kurt Busch will ease into fourth ahead of Elliott Sadler and go to work on the back bumper of Stenhouse.
And that shows you it's not always what goes on during the green flag that gets you to the front of these races. You know, Joey did a great job. His guys did a good job on pit road. It's the restart, and he's out front. You know, it's
pit stops and restarts.
Yes.
Hamlin's not going to give it up just yet. What a run off turn 4.
Amazing.
He made that look easy.
I bet it wasn't easy, though.
What makes Denny so good here?
I don't know. I need to get back on the radio and talk to him a little bit.
You think he'll tell you?
No, I guarantee he won't tell me.
Little back in the pack, some side-by-side racing. Cole Witt, 88, Danica Patrick, 7. That's for 15th and 16th. We just saw Michael Annett, 43, get by Joe Nemechek for 13th.
Cole Witt is steadily moving up through the field with that car. That's pretty amazing. Now, Denny's not running away with this thing right now either. You know, as these guys are racing back here, the leaders are up there, and they're only a few car lengths apart. Nobody's really got a huge advantage right now.
I'm pretty impressed with Danica so far. She's been maintaining her position, staying out of trouble, running fast. She's pulled away from her teammate right here.
Now, earlier to trouble. TJ Bell, 50 car. That's the front stretch, and he's into the inside wall after obviously getting the outside wall off turn 4.
That's one thing you see here. Is when you hit that wall on the outside on the front straightaway, it's almost inevitable you're going to go back and hit the inside.
Oh, we're done.
What was that, about 20 laps or less for green flag stretch there?
Yeah,
that was less.
The stats are changing as we speak. That's frustrating to end your night like that.
Bell climbing out of the car, looking none too happy.
This could be a case of not racing the track, but racing other cars. Yeah, he's kind of put in a bad spot right here.
39 is Josh Richards, another one of the Darlington rookies.
He could have cut him a break right there. Richards could.
Boy, that's a tough one. You never know what happened. The lap before, the corner before, but that was a lot of cars to trying to fit in one spot there. Plus, you got to remember the spotters. That's a hard place for the spotters to tell you exactly where someone is. You know, if someone's overlapping you or not.
Justin Allgaier there in that 31 with a faster car trying to get through, complicating the situation. End result, a bad night for TJ Bell, who gets bitten by the track too tough to tame and has put us under caution for the 3rd time. Travis Pastrana, first car not on the lead lap, gets the free pass. Leaders not taking advantage of another pit stop opportunity. Yellow flag out once again. We We are at the Help a Hero 200 at Darlington. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Working caution number 3 after T.J. Bell got the worst end of a 3-wide race off turn number 4. His car has been removed from the racing service. Denny Hamlin is our ESPN in-race reporter for the night. He is in the lead of this race as the field gets the 1-to-go signal. Let's have a quick shot at it.
Hey, Denny, it's Carl up here in the booth. How's things going out there for you?
Yeah, pretty good. Seems like we can spin them all for a few laps, then our car seems to come in. But right now, we're pretty happy with our forklift Toyota.
All right, man, it looks pretty good. Hopefully, you teach Joey to cut you a little slack on these restarts. He seems to be racing you pretty hard.
Yeah, I asked him before the last restart what line he wanted, as long as he let me in. Didn't exactly let me in, so I got to take his line away now.
All right, man, thanks a lot. Have fun out there.
Denny Hamlin has led 29 of the 49 laps that we have run tonight.
You see what I mean about teammates?
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, I've seen you and Ricky do the same thing.
Yes, we have. It's racing, man. This is, you compete with your teammates sometimes harder than you compete with other guys. It's like a sibling, a brother that you got to you can't let them get one on you.
So no pit stops by the front runners on this yellow flag. They have doubled up for the restart again. It'll be Hamlin and Logano once more side by side. Memory serves properly. Hamlin chose the inside lane for the last restart. This time he's going to try the other way because it was that outside lane that allowed Logano to...
Yeah, and if you watch, if they go down the corner side by side, Denny will run that thing right on his door, right onto Logano's door and try to do everything he can to keep Logano behind him.
Kurt Busch, 3 wide for the lead.
What a move that
Unbelievable. Kurt saw what was going on. He's no dummy. He knows those guys were thinking about each other and weren't thinking about him. He goes straight to the lead.
Wow.
That was cool.
That was real cool. I'm going to have to remember that one for tomorrow.
Third place, Stenhouse 6 inside of Logano.
Now we'll see just how fast Denny's car is because he's mad right now. He's thinking, I can't believe we let him get by me.
Now Stenhouse got back around Logano.
And here comes Keselowski in the 22. Taking a peek to the inside of his teammate, Sam Hornish, in the 12.
I wonder what Kyle Busch was thinking when he saw his brother drive 3 wide under.
Saying, go, man, go. That's what I would have done.
I imagine we've got video of that somewhere. I bet it's entertaining.
All right, here's what it looked like from Kurt Busch's spot in the office.
Now he's watching these guys knowing, hey, they got to slow down just a little bit.
Inside now, clear low, 3 wide bottom, 3 wide bottom, clear 1, clear both.
He's impressed.
And as we were watching Kyle's reaction, Denny Hamlin just slipped on by for the race lead.
But don't think that those guys didn't take note of that for the final restart. We might get a restart with 5 or 6 laps to go. It's going to be tough down there in 1 and 2.
Well, that's what Denny just told you in our in-race reporter segment there was, if I can hold him off for a few laps, I think I'm good. Short run, long run. Yep. He seems to have a long run horse tonight. But if the race comes down to a short run, and by the way,
yeah, I know you got a stat over there somewhere.
Last green flag run, 7 laps or less in 6 of the last 7 Darlington races.
That makes for excitement.
Hey, look at Kurt. Still put pressure on Denny.
You know what that stat means, folks? No matter what happens in the middle of this race, stick around for the end. It's going to be insane.
You never know how it's going to turn out.
Boy, the last couple have been insane.
T.J. Bell involved in the accident that brought out that last caution, Jamie.
Good news is he's been checked and released. He's okay. What happened there, though? 3-way battle, and it ended up you here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's just fighting for that lucky dog position. Our best start of the year. I can't thank everybody at Make Motorsports enough. Gulf Coast, Liberty Tire, everybody that's really been a part of this. you know, we're a small team. We're trying to make it, and this is a tough blow, but we'll come back next weekend in Iowa and try to rebound. Thanks, TJ.
Alan?
Glad to see TJ's okay. That was a pretty heavy hit. He took a couple of hits in that 50 car.
Yeah, what were you saying about teammates here, Carl? Look at these two. Finally, Sam's going to give it to him.
Go ahead.
Keselowski is going to pick up 6th position. That'll kick Hornish back to 7th. You know what I'm thinking while I'm watching these two cars that are up in front? The last 2 weeks in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, the race has been settled between the 18 and 54 cars. And it's been settled on the last lap by that much. Just a tiny bit. Top 2 spots tonight, Hamlin in the 18, Kurt Busch in the 54.
Back at Darlington, the track too tough to tame and famous for the stripe. Travis Pastrana in the field tonight. And already a little bit of action in the wall. Ryan Blaney went out very early on. Fast and furious action in the pits. But I find this to be interesting because I saw that restart, Rusty. I saw the fact that Kurt Busch took them 3 wide. Yet as we watch Denny Hamlin out front with 63 laps in this race, you say the word of the day is patience? Did you not see that restart?
I'm watching these guys, and in my opinion, they're being awful patient. A lot of give and take going on right now. Carl and the guys upstairs are spot on about the patience. You got to do this, you got to do that. But I know at this particular track late in the race, they start running out of patience, and they got to start working on these cars to get them handling better. You talk about Kurt Busch. We saw how fast he is on restarts, but then his car just went loose. They got to tighten this baby up, as you're seeing right now, past with Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think you're right. They have been very, very patient. The guys are lined up, single file through the corners, running, racing hard, but not quite pushing the envelope overall. I think we're going to see a lot of cautions as we get down to the end of this race. A lot of opportunities for somebody to go get Denny Hamlin, but he is fast.
There has been a lot of stopping and starting with those 3 cautions for 16 laps. Do they have a feel yet, AB, as to what they're going to need in those final 82?
Well, who better to ask than Carl Edwards, who's been behind the wheel of these things as recently as last year and in his NASCAR Sprint Cup car today. We've had a last restart. It's gone about, 15 laps consecutively now.
Yeah, and I think that what Rusty said is right. I think guys right now, they are being patient. You just saw Brad get by Elliott. Elliott let him go. Brad waved. But what we saw with Kurt there is exactly what we're going to see more of as this race winds down. People are going to be just taking chances, taking advantage when they can. It's so hard to pass right now. You get out here and you spread out. When you get that restart, you get bunched back up. People are going to take advantage and go for it.
Looking at Stenhouse Jr., started on pole for this race. Running second, there is Kurt Busch in the 54, running in third, Vince.
He's running in third, but he has not been happy with his race car. He says, in fact, this right rear is out of control, loose. I'm all over the place. They're telling him, hang in there, giving him some lap times, encouraging him to stick with it, but it's definitely not comfortable right now in the 54 for Kurt Busch.
Vince, thanks. So that's Kurt in third spot. Then you get Joey Logano next in line in fourth. There is Joey. Remember, moved up and took the lead from Denny Hamlin for a couple of laps after the second caution. And then was side by side with Hamlin for the restart after the third caution when Kurt Busch made that 3-wide move. I guess if I had to say man on the move lately besides Hamlin, it would be Brad Keselowski in the 22.
Yeah, Brad's been running really fast lap times. He's really good at this racetrack. He's been moving forward the whole race, and he's a guy that doesn't mind taking chances on these restarts as well, so look for him at the end of the race for sure.
This team kind of needing to reestablish some momentum. Remember how strong they were at the start of the season? In this 22, they were in the top 3 just about every week for the first few weeks of the season. But then these last 4 races just haven't been the same, and they've struggled to get the kind of results they had been in the early part of the season. Look at average finish there. First 3 starts, last 4 starts. Need to get that momentum back.
Yeah, their cars just haven't seemed to be as sharp and as fast as they were early in the season and what we saw last year. But this is one guy, Carl, and Brad Keselowski, that really doesn't. He never gives up. I've always said he's like a bulldog out there. I know you've raced with him a lot, but it seems like he peaks at the right time in these races. Even when he doesn't have a good car, he works on it and gets it right for the end.
Right, and he's a smart racer. He's learning things for tomorrow. He's thinking about his setup. But when he engages here at the end of this race and says, hey, we're going for it, he's going to be fast. He's got a lot of confidence coming off of that Cup win last week. He's probably having a little bit of fun here. He's minding his manners. But I still got to believe he's not the guy these guys are going to want to see starting second, third, or fourth up here on the final restart going for the checker.
Sounds like you're saying that from experience.
Yeah, we've had a lot of experience together, Brad and I, and he is really a great racer.
And one of the other stories to spotlight in this first half of the race so far is Cole Witt, who started at the back of the pack in a backup car, and he's closing in on the top 10.
That's pretty spectacular. So they have no laps on that car. None.
Not a single.
Not one lap.
That says a lot about his crew chief. That's a really good job being prepared.
And to be able to predict the setup, keep the splitter. We heard the report earlier is that they had no problems with the splitter hitting the track. And a lot of times you go to a backup car, you need a lap or two to kind of get that set up where you want it. And they've hit it spot on. You see Bruce Cook there, the crew chief on that car, and they've done a great job getting this car competitive.
Fresh off the spectacular finish at Talladega last week, where Cole Witt was a factor in the outcome. Denny Hamlin out in front as we come to the halfway point tonight here in Darlington. Beautiful look down on Darlington Raceway, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series is racing on a beautiful Friday night. Our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Only DirecTV gives you dedicated driver channels, so you'll never miss a second of your driver's race. Call 1-800-DirecTV. And a reminder that this is just the beginning of the motorsports action this weekend on the ESPN networks. Sunday, 5 Eastern, ESPN2, the American Le Mans Series at Monterey, presented by Tequila Patron. Always a great race out at Laguna Seca. And then next Sunday, 1 week from Sunday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at the Iowa Speedway. That'll be spectacular as well. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the defending winner of that one. That's 1:30 Eastern, ESPN, a week from Sunday.
Well, you guys had a big finish there one time, didn't you?
A big finish. That is a great place to race. Iowa's a lot of fun.
Little changing of the leaderboard. Nothing up front. Denny Hamlin still solidly in command. But now Kurt Busch is in second, and Ricky Stenhouse is back to third in this 6 car.
He had a really interesting moment a minute ago. I think we've got a little video of it. And this is an example of racing the cars around you and not racing the racetrack. He probably had Kurt breathing down his neck. He was pushing it, trying to pass that lap car off of turn 2. He did a really good job of gathering it back up and saying, hey, okay, I learned my lesson here. And
he got away with it.
Yep, he got away with it. Ricky has a way of doing that. He has so much car control. He's such a great race car driver that he can put his race car places that a lot of guys can't, and he can get away with it.
4 car there was Danny Eflin, the other machine involved. So Stenhouse back to third and 6 seconds behind leader Denny Hamlin. We talked about short run, long run with Hamlin already. Well, it's been a long green run, and Hamlin's extended his advantage over second place to 4.8 seconds. But pit stops are coming soon. Denny, the Darlington Dominator. Denny Hamlin out in front again in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Here at the track, Too Tough to Tame, looking for a 4th win in his last 5 tries here, a record anyone would be envious of. Green flag pit stops coming up as we're on the longest green run of the race so far. And speaking of green flag pit stops, remember, the opening to pit road here at Darlington under green, talked about this earlier, is very, very tricky. Brad Keselowski has made the move in it with Ricky Stenhouse right behind him. Vince?
Keselowski says it's really getting tight in 3 and 4, and the right front is gone. It's a 4-tire change, going to make an air pressure adjustment on that 22 of Keselowski as well.
6 car Ricky Stenhouse is in. The run didn't start that bad. A 2 to 3 loose all around, but on lap 81, he complained that the car was really tightening up and then said, Mike, crew chief, I don't know what's going on. So they decided to bring him in earlier rather than later. It'll be a 4-tire change for a tight race car. Doc.
Denny Hamlin said, I'm starting to get loose coming up off turn 2. Tear off. Tire air pressure change, and we're going to tighten it just a little bit. Then he said not much. Minor chassis adjustment, a little bit of air pressure, getting it topped up with Sunoco fuel. They are within their fuel window. Don't have to come back if they don't want to. Let's go to Kurt Busch. Vince.
Kurt Busch coming in said the car is just way too loose on the right side. They're going to make some significant balance changes in the car on the back side with wedge adjustments, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel for Kurt Busch. Says the car is decent, but it's just too loose for him to do what he wants to do. Doc?
Sam Horn, said the car has been loose. They made an adjustment. He said it is still very, very loose. 1.5 rounds of wedge in the left rear, 4 tires for Sam Hornish. Again, this should be the final scheduled stop of the day. They can come back in for tires, but they're okay on fuel. Still working to get full. Dave Burns.
And remember, Joey Logano's car has gone to the free side. He thought the track was really freeing up on him. He can't hustle the race car like he could earlier. So they will make changes for him, try to tighten it up a little bit. Adam Stevens, the crew chief, said in practice that they were very, very tight and were adjusting toward loose. They hoped they hadn't overdone it, but the track seems to have been the one who really gave him a loose race car. Jamie.
And Danica Patrick is in 4 tires. They're filling it up with fuel. She got up on the top and scared herself and said she needs it to turn just a little bit better to get down to the bottom of the track. Alan?
And cycle of pit stops about to be completed here as Brendan Gaughan, Cole Witt, Joe Nemechek dive onto the pit lane. Dave?
And Cole Witt reported most recently that the rear end of that race car is not in the track. They'll make adjustments for that. They've also been chasing something where the fuel gauge remains pegged all the time to its greatest degree. So he's been shutting the car off, trying to reset it. They plan to do a complete shut-off while he's on pit road here just to see if they can reset it. It seems to be causing a little bit of concern to Cole. It's not really hurting the performance that much. We documented how far through the field he's come tonight.
All right, Dave, thanks. So right side of the screen, Justin Allgaier, the only one of the lead lap cars that has not come down the pit lane here. Remember that they had the long pit stop a while ago, Doc.
Indeed they did. They also now have even more problems right now. They said the car is very, very tight. The vibration they got early when they had the lug nut stuck in the left front is now back. And they're saying the voltage is dropping. It is now under 11 volts. They think they have an alternator issue. They're going to come down. They may go to the backup battery. Right now he's on the racetrack leading a lap. We'll come in about a lap and a half, guys.
All right, Doc, thanks. When Allgaier pits, it'll give the lead back to Denny Hamlin by a bunch.
Guys, I don't know how you keep track of all this up here. That is a lot of stuff happening at once.
Yeah, it is. Those green flag pit stops are crazy.
Wow, that was close.
And I thought what was interesting is there are a lot of guys getting tight, a lot of guys getting loose. It's not like the track is going one direction. It seems to be really car specific.
Just before the caution on the pit stops, we saw Ricky Stenhouse with the incident off turn number 2, and then he dropped back a bunch just before the pit stop, Dave. Ooh.
This is the right rear tire, Alan. The outside shoulder shows a lot of cording right there, but look at the air pressure. It was way down. That's why Ricky was having trouble on the racetrack.
Yeah, that was a long run, and we've seen that.
That'll be added to his Christmas bonus from Jack for getting his money's worth out of that tire. I mean, if you can drive that rubber off it and the air out of it, you're doing something.
That's one thing they expected to get better, and I think it has. They've gone a lot more laps than they could in practice, but that might be a concern tomorrow. Track as it wears, as it ages, does wear these tires more and more. Here comes Travis Pastrana, Jamie.
Just a second Nationwide Series start. Travis said his biggest fear, a green flag pit stop. Remember, he got busted for speeding last time at Richmond. They need to free him up. He just cannot control the car, saying it's pushing, won't turn. 4 tires, track bar adjustment, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. He's down and away. Nice job.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that pit stop. That's one of the things in NASCAR people don't talk about enough. It's you're not used to as a driver coming and doing these pit stops until you get to this level of the sport. It's something that's hard to practice for.
Especially here. This is one of the trickiest pit roads to get on.
You can drive down there into turn 3, and the pit road, we talked about all that pavement being so wide. The pit road seems like 150 feet from the outside wall.
So there is Allgaier. Not yet made his pit stop. Out there lumbering around.
Praying for a caution.
Yep. 2 seconds a lap slower than Denny Hamlin, the second place car. 18 is some 6 seconds ahead of what will be his nearest rival once Allgaier pits. And that is Kurt Busch.
Kurt was battling the loose condition. Didn't they put a round in the right rear?
I think they said they put wedge in it and backed off the right rear screw. They're thinking maybe it would just lower the car a little too much and actually made it looser. Had the opposite effect of what they intended.
So I think they're trying to put the back of the car up in the air and tighten up the race car with the aero.
Next in line behind Kurt Busch is Joey Logano. Another second back. And there goes your change for the lead. So Denny Hamlin now back out in front with 45 laps to go. And appearing to be solidly in command. But then this is Darlington. You just never know what's going to happen in the closing laps.
Sunday, the NBA playoffs continue with a doubleheader on ABC. First at 12:30 Eastern, it's the Kia NBA Countdown. Then at 1, if necessary, it's a winner-go-home Game 7 clash. Chris Paul attempts to lead the Clippers past Rudy Gay and the Grizzlies. And at 3:30, Danny Granger and the Pacers score off against the newly crowned MVP.
Absolutely. Best player in the league this year.
And Game 1 of the conference semis. NBA playoffs on ABC, home of the NBA Finals. We are 108 laps into this race here at Darlington. When you last saw us, it was the 31 of Justin Allgaier out front, but that is your new leader, Denny Hamlin, because Allgaier did make a stop. So if you are just joining us, here's a quick recap. The Ram race rundown of what we have seen so far. Lap 2. It started with disappointment for Ryan Blaney after such promise at Richmond. Into the wall there.
Oh, he looked so good in practice and stuff. Got into all of it in practice and crashed again now. But I'll tell you what, the kid was so upset, tore up, because he had such a good run a couple weeks ago at Richmond, Virginia. He didn't want this to happen. Everybody feels sorry for him. He took responsibility, and that's racing, man.
X Games megastar Travis Pastrana in the field for his second nationwide start tonight.
Yeah, he's been back there with a group of guys all evening, and they've just kind of been mired around one another. Got into a little bit, but he straightened it out and running better.
Woo! Now, what about this restart? Kurt Busch, well, he threaded the needle, took off, and just made a perfect restart. Look at his brother, like, holy smokes. Look at that. Then he got real loose, and Denny Hamlin passed him and just checked out. So they've been working on the number 54 car throughout the night, trying to tighten the car up to try to get a competitor for late in this race.
Denny Hamlin currently 78 laps out front tonight. What did Alan call him? Denny the Darlington
Denny the Dominator.
One of the storylines we talked about heading into this race, tire wear. This track can eat it up. I want you to listen to something that happened just a few minutes ago on Brad Keselowski's radio.
Tires look good, just used. No cords whatsoever, just so you know. No cords whatsoever. What tire was worn there, Jeremy? Your right front's used up. Again, no cords, was just used up.
Rusty, what does all that mean?
Well, right now, he just wants to know what's going on with this car. We got 35 laps to go, and they gave him some confidence that that tire's okay.
Yeah.
So as a driver, you know you can hammer down, get after it, and not have to save that tire.
That's exactly right, Rusty. And you know, you're always concerned about a right front tire. All right, and it's cooled off. Got a lot of grip in this racetrack. So now he knows he can go out and lean on this race car, get a little more out of it.
He can lean on it, but can he lean on it enough to beat that Darlington Dominator?
All we need is a yellow flag.
You cannot say that 3 times fast, Davey.
Don't try this at home. We're trained professionals. All right, Nicole. Rusty, Brad, thanks. 34 laps to go. Up with Carl Edwards and Andy Petrie in our broadcast booth, watching Austin Dillon solidly run inside the top 10. 6th place for Dillon. Another nice job night for him.
Yeah, it's a great run for him. And I do think the story right now of those tires, you know, the drivers know how hard they're using the tires. They know where they're running on the racetrack. If they're running the gray stuff, they know it's wearing the tires out a little bit more. And all those crew chiefs know that those tires are wearing out. They saw Stenhouse's tire. They're familiar. And so, guys out there right now are thinking, am I running too hard? Do I want to save a little something?
Now, this is a couple laps ago with Dillon and Brad Keselowski for the 5th position with a lap car of Jason Bowles.
Maybe he's not being too easy on his tires. Yeah, still, they did a great job because that corner is so narrow. As you're driving around this corner, the car's sliding. You're doing everything you can to get on the gas. And you go, oh, man, we're 3 wide.
3 wide.
Your spotter reminds you you're 3 wide. I think he knew he was 3 wide, but
hang on to it.
It's still tough.
You're clear all around. Clear all around.
Hey, Dave, what do you got down there?
Well, just the fact that Elliott Sadler really helped this young driver get around this place, especially off of turn 2. But they've been having to work on the race car because it was very tight at the start. Then it went free on him. They made a couple of adjustments. And now with a good handling race car and lots of advice from a teammate, he's doing well.
And again, going to regroup and try and retake that spot from Brad Keselowski. That would be 5th place.
He was the fastest car on the racetrack last lap.
Now, earlier we saw Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the championship leader, have a moment off of turn number 2, and then we saw the tire wear issues on the 6 car, and Stenhouse is back in 8th place. Well, his rival for the championship, Elliott Sadler, is running up in 4th position now in the 2 car.
We'll have trash, grill, getting hot. Looks fine to me. We'll look again. We'll be lucky to make it 262.80 right now.
262.80 on that 2 car.
Yeah, that's a little hot. I'll tell you one thing that happens at this track when it starts wearing tires like that is all of that rubber gets plugged in the radiators, and you'll have these cars running hot at the end of the race. We used to have a problem with this all the time here.
My first truck race here, we had to pull off. We burned up the engine because of that rubber. Elliott's a veteran, though. You heard what he said. He's thinking about the big picture right now. He's thinking, man, I got a great run. I can come out here with the points lead. Let's try to fix this thing. Let's try to pull some tape, make sure we clean the grill. He's doing the right thing by talking to his crew chief about it.
What has been a very closely contested run for the championship. And yes, I know it's still early in the season, but the way it's started and the way it's gone, it's been back and forth between these two. Close. Now Stenhouse in the last month has gone from behind to ahead. And the one race he starts with the championship lead, he's running behind Sadler. And we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be a fun championship all the way through Homestead in November. Just 28 laps to go at Darlington. Denny Hamlin in search of a 4th win here. Darlington Raceway from our aerial coverage, brought to you by DirecTV. Only DirecTV gives you dedicated driver channels, so you'll never miss a second of your driver's race. Call 1-800-DirecTV. One end wider than the other. Tough old Darlington being mastered tonight by Denny Hamlin. That for 2nd place. Joey Logano has just passed Kurt Busch. Joe Gibbs Racing. Kurt hit the wall hard.
Guys, right side.
Right front's down.
Yellow's out.
We're going to have to see a replay of that. I don't know if he got tight or if he blew the right front. This is huge. This erases Denny Hamlin's lead. All the drivers, this is what they wanted. Everybody but Denny Hamlin. Now they're going to get a caution and one of those wild restarts to finish this race.
Yeah, in less than 20 to go.
Kurt Busch running 2nd, giving up that spot to Joey Logano, and as he was giving it up, a shower of sparks as the car contacted the wall, exiting turn 4.
You hear Mike Beam talking to him. It'd be interesting to see how much is torn up or bent. If the right front tire went before he hit the wall, it might not be as bad as it looks.
Yeah, blue. Yeah. You can see it right there. The tire went down. You can actually see the air coming out of it.
A second later, and that would have worked out fine for him. That's really frustrating for Kurt. He's had a really good race all night.
They never let go at the right place.
Yeah, I noticed that. You're right about that.
Coming inside.
Richard Petty always said
right side.
about running the high line. If something goes wrong, less the travel to go to hit.
I wonder if he felt that coming. I wonder if he knew that it was going to blow. A lot of times you can feel a little something. Kurt's a veteran. He's probably taking it easy on it.
Yeah. So work there on the 54 car. While he is going to leave pit road, pit lane is open for the lead lap cars, and Denny Hamlin leads the charge in. These stops are going to be with just 19 laps to go, Vince.
Well, for Elliott Sadler, the car's just been too loose throughout the course of this night. That's what they've been fighting. You see Elliott upper left-hand portion of your screen. It says right now the car is lacking grip in the center. They're going to make a 4-tire change. Also air pressure for Elliott Sadler. Doc?
Denny Hamlin says, you got to tighten me up. I want at least around a wedge. You're going to go ahead and put 4 tires. They said, how about a splash of fuel? Denny said, no, fill it up. If you put a splash, it'll change the balance of the car. Fill it full of fuel. They're not going to wait on it.
Dave, 4th place, Dylan, upper right. Don't change my balance either. Just give me a little bit something for the short run. Meanwhile, Joey Logano says it takes 20 laps for the rear to come in. It's a very loose race car. Air pressure adjustment for Logano. Who wins the race off pit road, Alan?
The team that played the strategy, Dave. Right sides only for Elliott Sadler. And he will go to the top of the leaderboard. Luke Lambert rolling the dice there a little bit.
He's not scared.
Guys, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be a good one to watch. Elliott, look at his eyes. He's ready to race.
Back at Darlington here, the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. 17 laps remaining. A late pit stop. Luke Lambert in the 2-car of Elliott Sadler just taking the lead. You made the 2-tire call over the 4-tire. What was the decision there?
Well, I mean, obviously, one main Chevy's been running good all night, so we felt like we could put ourselves in a position to get a really good finish right here. We'll see how it plays out.
Got a sly smile on his face, AB.
What do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I like this call or not. I don't know what these left side tires look like. If I had, the chance to look at them, it might change my decision here. But I think he's going to get passed by 4 or 5 cars here.
And if some of these guys get really aggressive, I mean, they're hoping for maybe another caution or two, and they're hoping for that 3 or 4 lap sprint to the finish, and maybe Elliott can stay out in front of Ricky Stenhouse.
Well, they're adding another lap now to this caution, so that's going to make it less, down to 16 laps to go. Like you said, Carl, that might be the only saving grace if he can get a couple of short runs here.
Reason for the added lap on the caution, they had a dozen cars take a wave around, 6 of them to get back on the lead lap. Need to position them properly in the restart order, plus Kurt Busch, by pitting too soon to get those repairs before the pit lane was open, has to be positioned to the back of the field, the penalty cars at the end of the line. Cars that get back on the lead lap with the wave around: James Buescher, Joe Nemechek, Danica Patrick, Michael Annett, Mike Bliss, and Justin Allgaier. What about that 18, Doc? Any worries in their pit?
Well, let's ask Matt Lucas. Your driver said you wanted to tighten me. He's been awfully good all night. He said, you got to tighten me up. Are you concerned?
Not really. I mean, we're concerned that we want to finish this off, but I think we made the right adjustments for Denny, and we'll see what we can do. It's in his hands now.
All right, it's in his hands. 1 round of wedge and 17 laps to go, guys.
Well, Matt's so cool. He's got his sunglasses still up there on his head. It's been dark for an hour or 2.
He probably hadn't had time to take them off. He's been so busy.
You won't lose him that way.
He's a great guy. He was an engineer for our team for a long time. Real smart crew chief. He's got the 4 tires. Denny's got the outside lane. I think, like Andy said, Denny's going to drive away. Elliott can maybe hold on. Depends on how important the left side tires are.
Yeah, Matt also reminded me about the time you hit the wall when you were on the pole.
Yeah,
I think
he was probably as frustrated as I was.
So 18 cars on the lead lap, 15 laps to go. Elliott Sadler, only fresh right side tires on the pit stop. Denny Hamlin, the dominator of the race, has led most of the night so far. Watch Joey Logano in that yellow 20 as well. He's got another shot at the lead. Here we go. Sadler gets clear. Logano to second. Hamlin back to third.
Hamlin in third. Right now, he is white knuckle. He's saying, I'm getting these guys. I've led this whole race. This is my race to win. So my eyes are on Denny Hamlin right now. Sadler's doing a heck of a job. We got a smoker down the back straightaway.
08 car Matt Fromm is headed to the apron.
Green flag still out. Elliott is screaming around the center of the corner right now with those 2 tires.
I'll tell you, I'm impressed at just how well those 2 tires are working. I had no idea they'd work that good.
Keselowski, Hornish, Stenhouse Jr., 6th, 7th, and 8th there with Casey Kane in that mix.
Now on that restart, Logano started right behind right behind Sadler and went ahead and pushed him right past Denny Hamlin. These guys are racing hard back here, though. He might get that caution.
And while we watch this, I'm thinking about that lead trio and how Denny Hamlin's car has been the better long-run car all night. Is 15 laps enough for him to get back to the point? Here he goes for second on Logano.
Yeah, Logano had to squeeze out of the throttle off turn 2. There goes the 18.
And Logano's not going to give it to him easy right here. I don't know if Denny can clear him off this corner or not. Man, that's close.
12 to...
Now, Sadler knows Denny Hamlin's got a fast race car. He also knows that Ricky Stenhouse is way back there. This is his chance, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive Sadler is when Denny starts to pressure him.
It's a championship, yes, but it's also a win at Darlington.
Yes, it's huge.
There's still 11 laps to go, though. Long way.
Here comes Hamlin with a look. I think what Sadler wants to see now is another caution flag.
Yes, he does. Yeah, both of these race cars are very clean. These are smart racers. Like you said, though, Sadler wants to win this thing more than anything. He's going to hold off Denny as long as he can. And if Denny does get by, he'll go straight into points mode. He'll think, how can I finish this race the best I can?
Caution.
Oh, that's exactly what Elliott needed.
Brendan Gaughan has gotten into the wall.
Oh, Luke Lambert's looking pretty smart right now.
He's looking real smart.
Right
I didn't think that would work.
Yep. All right, guys, 4 tires.
That was the other car that took 2 tires on the last caution play.
Now I guess Sadler will start in front of Logano again because he'll want that same push, but man, that's going to frustrate the heck out of Denny.
There's not going to be many laps to go. It's 10 to go now.
What did our statistician say? 7 laps
I
to go
think that's
is the
what
average.
the average was. Looks like he's going to be right again.
What's the average for tomorrow? Can you help us with our pit strategy there?
I got my best guy on it. Ow. Turn 3 there for
he had a right
Brendan
front
Gaughan.
go down.
So what you've seen so far out of that 2-tire call, what do you think, Carl?
I think it looks pretty good. You had me convinced it was a bad call, but it's a good call. Now, I don't know if he got tires last time, if he just wore through that right front. And,
No, he did. He got 2 right sides. There were 2 cars that took 2, and he was one of them, and Elliott's the other.
I wonder why he had trouble with that tire.
Interesting thing, just not that they're going to be factors up front for the finish, but all those wave around cars that didn't take tires on the last pit stop.
They can now.
They can now for the final sprint to the checkers. 9 to go. How's it going to turn out at Darlington? Well, don't leave now.
Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be crazy.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Darlington is brought to you by Ortho Home Defense Max Insect Killer for indoor and perimeter. Defend what's yours.
Are we going to continue the trend of fabulous finishes in the NASCAR Nationwide Series that we've seen the last 2 weeks? A couple of races ago, Richmond, Denny Hamlin 18, Kurt Busch 54. By that much, Kurt Busch got the win. 62 thousandths of a second. Well, next race out was Talladega. And they came to the finish. 18 Joey Logano, 54 Kyle Busch. 18 wins by that much. If my math is correct, and I've carried the one, Andy, the last 2 weeks, the total margin of victory in the Nationwide Series is less than 1/10 of a second.
Pretty good finishes. Both of those were. I'll tell you, that finish at Richmond is about the best one I've ever seen there.
It was spectacular. I jumped off the couch. My wife hit me because I was being so loud. I was waking the kids up.
Well, you might be jumping up in a minute here.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
So on the last restart, Elliott Sadler had Denny Hamlin's teammate Joey Logano by him and maybe helped kind of push him by and clear of the 18. This on Denny's radio a minute ago.
Here with the 20, man. Tell him, if he can cut me a break, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, 10-4, I'm already working on it.
And you see Denny looking up there at the scoreboard, thinking about how this is all going to play out. I don't think Joey, if I were Joey, I would do the same thing I did before, because the 18 is the fastest car. He wants to get by Denny, and then he wants to have a shot at the 2 car of Elliott Sadler. So I don't see Joey cutting him any slack, honestly.
Well, if he wanted, he could actually start on the inside. No, he couldn't. I can see he's taking the inside. Denny doesn't have that choice this time.
Exactly. Yeah, Denny. We've been so used to him leading this whole race. 5 wins in the last 6 races by Joe Gibbs Racing.
And their cars are second and third on this restart. Richard Childress Racing, on the other hand, has never won a nationwide race at Darlington.
Really?
Elliott Sadler in the deuce.
Now, remember when Joey and Denny were worrying about each other earlier in the race, Kurt got by. So if they're worried about how they're racing each other, if they go down into turn one and they're thinking of each other as teammates, it's an opportunity for someone else like Elliott Sadler to take advantage of that and drive away.
I think Luke Lambert's looking pretty smart right now. That was a move that I didn't think would work. It looks like it's going to have a good shot at working here.
Yeah, we won't tell them what you said about
don't tell them.
So here they come. Doubled up with a restart. Timmy Hill, free pass on that caution. He's in 18th place, last on the lead lap.
So it'll be 5 to go?
5 laps to go as they take the green. Who's going to win it? And have we seen the last of the yellow flag? Oh, no! Logano pushes Sadler around into the wall.
Get going.
Sadler spun his tires a little bit. Logano was trying to push him through, and he got him crossed up.
I didn't see that coming.
I did not either.
And from the championship lead and the race lead to a very damaged race car in a blink.
Elliott actually got a good start. He got out on Denny just a little bit. I thought he had done a pretty good job with it.
We'll have to watch the replay. It looked like Elliott might have spun the tires a little bit. He had more laps on his left side tires. If they can get that thing beat out and get fenders off of it, or it's not leaking, I guess he'd still have a chance to finish in the top 15 or something.
Casey Kane, some more bad luck.
Collected in the jam.
Man.
And Hamlin with some damage.
Yeah,
there.
he's got some pretty good damage on that right front. I don't think that's going to hurt him too much.
Well, now he'll get to start right next to Logano. Guys, this is going to be insane.
Two-car got a lot of damage, Vince.
It sure does, and Elliott immediately on the radio letting the team know that he has no oil pressure as well. So the plan is they've just turned off the engine. They have some serious damage on the right side, worse than they thought initially, and no oil pressure. Elliott had initially indicated, let's don't lose a lap, guys, but as you can see, it's much worse than that.
Oil cooler busted. They can't continue.
That is really frustrating.
So you go from leading the championship and leading the race to probably going to finish somewhere around 24th or so. And
boy, Elliott's mad. Right now, as a driver, he's sitting there thinking,
well, they've done everything right.
Yeah, the leaders are not pitting. They're going to stay out. And Elliott's thinking, boy, I'd really like to hear Logano's version of that. He'll probably wait a little while before he talks to him.
All right.
Boy, that's tough. Well, that sense of frustration right there, I can tell you guys, going from being the points leader, having a shot at the win, to sitting there in the pits, it's hard to deal with that. Elliott's a professional. He's going to handle it the best he can. So this is the replay. On the start, looks like Elliott got not the greatest start. Logano pushing him. That's it.
Denny was involved in that.
I didn't see that the first time. Looked like Denny caught the right rear of Elliott's car. So it wasn't completely Logano's doing there.
Looks more like Denny than, well, I don't know. He's getting help from both sides.
Yeah, Logano got it started.
Yeah.
And things compounded.
On board Denny Hamlin.
About 2. 20's in there with him. Inside with him. Get low. He's coming. Caution's out. Watch your outside. Just watch your outside.
And I'll say this about Denny. You're starting with a guy to your inside. You're hammer down. You're not expecting that car to come across.
Denny wasn't expecting that at all. He was actually thinking, man, he's thinking, we talked to Logano. He wasn't supposed to be helping him. And then all of a sudden the car comes across the hood. And Denny's lucky he didn't tear that thing up worse than he did.
Protect the bottom. You're good. Protect the bottom. Logano just wrecked us. Get going.
Elliott walking away. Joey Logano's radio.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Tell him I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that at all.
Vince?
frustrated Elliott Sadler for sure. Just play Joey Logano's radio, said he was sorry, didn't mean to do that. Did you spin the tires at all, or was he just in the back end of you?
And he just bump drafted me, just trying to get us going. I just hate it, man. I'm just fighting for my life out here to try to stay a part of the sport and trying to do well and win a championship and win races and do a good job for One Main Financial and all their branches and stuff like tonight, man. That's just heartbreaking. It's just it's tough, man. We got a lot of points there to make up.
You're in a situation where you're leading the race, and also from a points standpoint and the championship standpoint, sitting in the driver's seat, not the best night for Stenhouse. How is that square things now?
I don't know where to sixth. Yeah, not a good night. He's running fifth, I think. We just it's a shame, man. I understand what he was trying to do, but you just don't bump draft everywhere you go, especially at a place like Darlington and everybody's on used tires. It's, there's a time and a place for everything. I just hate that we're on the losing end of it. Just so a really good race car and just killed us in the points. Just going to make it another uphill battle. It's Daytona all over again last year, and we just we got to keep fighting.
Thanks, Elliott. Baby.
All right, and you mentioned Elliott will handle it like a pro. He certainly did there.
Yeah, he did. Elliott did everything right there. He drove great. Now we look at the points, and 18 points out. Once he looks at that, and who knows what's going to happen? Okay, anything can happen.
That's true.
He doesn't need to get. Once he, I think, goes home, thinks about it a little bit, he's still right there in the hunt.
I guess my point on that 18 points is that's where Sadler is now, but he'll drop further as the laps in the race run out.
That's if the 6 car can survive this next restart.
Stranger things have happened.
Gosh, look at that. That's too bad. Now, it's like Denny really didn't do anything wrong. He just kind of got caught in a bad spot.
And to Logano's credit, he is trying to do what they did the last time.
He's trying to help him.
We're going to drive out here. He knows that when he gets to the corner, Sadler was going to, in his mind, was going to be leading. He was maybe going to be second. There was no malicious intent, I don't believe.
Logano just wrecked us. Get going, get going, get going, get going, get going, get going. That was nice of him. See this 38.
That's how spotters help you get mad. Yeah. But everybody on that team's got to be very frustrated. They did a really good job tonight. Now, I think it was really impressive that Denny, he didn't lift, he didn't check up, wreck the car, get piled into from behind. He kept moving and did a good job of missing it.
And the important point of order here, where the rules are concerned, when you saw those replays, you saw Joey Logano ahead of Denny Hamlin. But when NASCAR puts out the caution and freezes the field, it goes back to where they crossed the last scoring loop. And Denny Hamlin was in front of Joey Logano when they crossed the last scoring loop. So Denny Hamlin is the leader of this race.
Which was likely the start-finish line in this case,
now
the last scoring loop.
Now, and I understand it. It should be, and it will evolve, I believe, I hope, that the sport, when the caution comes out, it is where you are running. Because regardless of who caused this wreck or who did whatever, right now we got a race between two leaders, and you want to be where you're at when the caution came out.
What are they saying on the 18, Doc?
Well, first of all, Denny said he had nowhere to go, and you guys have correctly put it. He said he had to stay in the throttle or get hit from behind. So the two got turned in front of me. I had nothing to do. I just had to keep going and go around him. The concern a little bit here is the right front fender on the 18 car. The spotter says it has been in. The crew can see the fender has been in a little bit on the right front. He said, but we don't think it will rub, but we won't know until we go back to green and the car loads and unloads in the corner. So they're going to keep an eye on the right front. They hope they can hold on for a few more laps and get the win.
All right, Doc, thanks. We are going to play a little overtime tonight here at Darlington as we await the cleanup to be wrapped up, and then we'll go to the first attempt at a green-white checker finish here. Gives us a minute to tell you about what's upcoming for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. A week from Sunday, it's on to Iowa Speedway. Rusty Wallace design the 7/8 mile track. 1:30 Eastern Time, ESPN. Charlotte, Dover, Michigan, Road America, all those races upcoming. And if you'd like to join us at the track, NASCAR.com/tickets or the phone number at the bottom of the screen. The way these races have been this year and the way they've been finishing, you ought to join us at the racetrack.
I'd say you get your money's worth. Whatever they paid for these tickets, they are right now. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about this green white checker. It's going to be wild. And I'd like to talk about Joey Logano a little bit right now. We don't talk about this a lot, but that feeling that he has in the car right now is really difficult to deal with. He has a chance to win this race. He feels guilty as he can feel about causing that wreck. He's got to go up here and be ultra aggressive with his teammate. But that he doesn't need to be thinking about any of that. He needs to think about going out and winning this race. Dave, tell us how his crew chief's feeling right now.
Well, Carl, his crew chief, Adam Stevens, has asked him to get a plan together to get this Joe Gibbs 1-2 finish. He can decide which order, but what kind of a plan do you think he has?
Well, Joey's good on these late race restarts. We've seen it time and time again. Been a little loose on the short runs today. We snugged him up on the last stop. Get a heat cycle on the tires, he might be dangerous.
All right, remember, the problem they were having was getting going on the short run here, and as you heard Adam say, they believe they got that corrected. Logano will get the inside, by the way.
Joey Logano has won 11 of these races, Nationwide Series races. 7 of those he's passed his teammate to win.
You've been digging into the stat book again.
Nah, stats guys feed me.
All right, so getting ready for the restart. Remember, if you're new to NASCAR, if the race is under caution at the scheduled distance, NASCAR will make up to 3 attempts at a green-white checker finish. They'll throw the green, and they'll race 2 laps. If the caution comes out before the field completes the first of those 2 laps, they'll do it again up to twice more. If the leader's taken the white flag and something happens, the next flag decides the race, be it the caution flag or the checkered flag.
We'll see right here what how aggressive these guys can be, and see if Joey Logano can put that wreck right behind him and go out here and race for the win.
Remember early in the race, you talked about Brad Keselowski and what he might do at the end of the race. Look where he's sitting.
Right there, yeah.
He's in 3rd.
Denny Hamlin, the leader, has chosen the outside lane. It's Logano to the inside.
And don't think for a second Austin Dillon doesn't have his sights on that trophy either. So this is going to be an insane turn 1 and 2.
18 cars on the lead lap. Travis Pastrana, the free pass at the caution flag. Green-white checker number 1. Who's going to win it?
Brad did just what Joey was trying to do with Elliott. He pushed him out to the lead. Joey's got he's got it made here right now. If Denny Hamlin has any damage that's affecting the downforce on that car, I don't think he's got a shot at it.
Stenhouse and Dillon there side by side for a spot. Kurt Busch trying to come back after his damage earlier.
This time. Bring it home. Give us a good one.
White flag. We've started the last lap of the race.
Denny is going to drive for all he's got this last lap. He's going to charge it through 1 and 2. I guarantee you he breaks later than Denny Hamlin down in 3. He's closing right now.
Yeah, he's got a
run on him. Can Denny Hamlin do it?
Half a lap to go. Final shot for Hamlin is here. Big run in the middle of the corner. Is it enough? Not going to be. Joey Logano is going to make it back-to-back. He wins at Darlington. Denny Hamlin has to settle for second.
Ricky Stenhouse with a 22-point lead.
Darlington. Woo!
Guys, that's
How about 2 in a row, fellas? Nice job, bud.
That's a lot of mental strength.
Yeah! Good job, guys.
A little help from Brad Keselowski on that restart. Those guys did a great job. All that wrecking aside, anything that happened there, that was a way to finish that race.
Well, make that 8 times now he's passed his teammate to win. That's 12 wins, and 8 times he's passed his teammate.
I ask you this respectfully because you've been in this spot before when something's happened, and then you go back and you win the race.
It's very difficult. Tell you what, it's a lot easier when you win.
Yeah.
But he still has to go speak with Elliott Sadler. They still have to work that out, and he has to explain it. Great job, though, to come back from that.
Joey Logano wins it. Victory lane and post-race coverage when we come back.
Good thing.
Joey Logano has driven into Darlington Raceway's victory lane to celebrate a win at the track too tough to tame. His 2nd in a row, 3rd win in the last 5 starts he's made in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Logano's got it going on, and now he's going to have a Darlington trophy to take home. Dave Burns?
Talk about the rest of your run tonight.
And AB, his crew came a long way from up pit road to get here, so I think they're all still collecting down here. And Joey Logano's come a long way here at the Darlington Raceway. Joey, talk about, well, I know we got a couple things to cover here. Which one do you want to talk about first?
First of all, I need to apologize to Elliott. That was obviously not on purpose. Just we worked so well together in Talladega last week. that we were helping each other again there, it seemed like. And I pushed him ahead on the restart before and got him out in front. I was like, man, we'll do the same thing. And I guess he was just spinning his tires still, and I was trying to push him ahead. And once the car got a little bit squirrely, and he just started going to the right. And I was trying to lift it, I just couldn't get off him because we're both slowing down at the same rate. And, a little unfortunate there, but it's awesome to get Dollar General in victory lane. His first win with them at with JGR. So I'm totally excited about that. To say hey to Rick and everyone back in Tennessee. But
hey, how hard to collect yourself, though, after something like that happens, Elliott? Then you got to concentrate and figure out how to beat your teammate who was dominant.
I had a little game plan figured out under caution on what I had to do to win this thing. The last restart. Plus, I had Brad behind me pushing me like crazy. So that's what I was trying to do to Elliott, and Brad just get me crossed up. So still cool. 2 in a row. Darlington. This is such a cool place to win. The history here and all. It's just so awesome. So I just want to thank Coca-Cola. Obviously, Toyota 201st win for them. So that's really cool in NASCAR. GameStop, Sport Clips. They sponsored the race and everything. So just awesome. Excited about it.
Joey Logano in victory lane for the second weekend in a row. Little mixed feelings there, but boy, he sure showed him at the end with a great push from Brad Keselowski.
Help a Hero 200 to Joey Logano tonight, but it was eventful at its finish. We'll dive into that a little more when we come back. Back at Darlington Raceway, where tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series finish had its share of twists of plot. The restart, with 5 to go, Elliott Sadler leading Joey Logano, trying to push him clear of the race's dominant car, driven by Denny Hamlin.
Right now, Elliott Sadler's driving home, getting madder by the mile.
Sadler will finish 24th tonight, so that set up a green-white checker finish, with Joey Logano pushed clear of Denny Hamlin by Brad Keselowski. And Logano led 4 laps tonight. He scored the win. Denny Hamlin led 103 laps tonight. And he's left to say what if.
That's Lexan, that's not glass.
Doc?
Yeah, you saw the frustration a moment ago from Denny Hamlin, and when he hit the windshield, he said you never win the ones you dominate, and you did dominate tonight, Denny. But tell us what happened on that final green-white checkered restart. Did you have a problem?
Yeah, we lost the cylinder. The water temperature went pegged and everything, and we lost the cylinder, and that's why we couldn't take off. It was a shame. All I could do was hold it wide open those last couple laps to try to keep up, but that's the way it goes. I feel terrible for Elliott. Those guys are racing for points, and looking at the restart, I didn't know if I calls it or whatever, but it looked like the 20 had him jacked up pretty good, and he was heading right when he came across our nose, and so it was a tough day for them, tough day for us. I mean, I'm gonna get these guys a win one of these days. I mean, we just can't keep dominating these races and not win them, but proud of the whole Sport Clips team and Matt and the guys. They continue to give me great race cars, and eventually we'll break through that barrier and we'll get them a win.
All right, Denny Hamlin, after a great night here, finishes second. Vince?
Good finish for Brad Keselowski, third tonight, but on that final restart when you were sitting third, I'm thinking maybe you had something for those guys to get the win. Is that what you were thinking when you were sitting there?
Absolutely. We've had some really good runs with both the Discount Tire Dodge and tonight the Snap-on Dodge Challenger, but need just a little bit more to close it out. But good way to finish the day, or night, I should say. This is a tough race, and you can see it on those last few restarts with how much action there was. So this is the best finish I think I've had in a Nationwide car here. So that's a great start, and feeling pumped up for tomorrow's race with the Cup car.
Kind of an up and down day for you guys from a practice perspective, and then to come out and have this third place finish. What's that say about the strides your 22 team's making?
Well, it's a pretty good team. We just need to keep digging, and we need to find just a little bit of speed with this program, and I think we can win races.
Good luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Brad Keselowski, AB.
All right, Vince, thanks. So Brad Keselowski there with his view on how things unfolded in the final laps. And a moment to remind you that Sunday night at 8, the Angels ace Jared Weaver looks to shut down the Rangers' explosive lineup led by Josh Hamilton. And Monday night at 7 Eastern, bitter rivals clash as Starlin Castro leads the Cubs against the St. Louis Cardinals. Both games available on ESPN, ESPN3, and live on the WatchESPN.com and WatchESPN app. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, and Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. check out the run to the finish for 4th position between Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12 and Austin Dillon in the 3. When we talk about photo finish, how about this?
It's hard to pick the winner of this battle. Look how close that was.
And let's give credit to Austin Dillon for coming here and running this well. I mean, the car's in one piece, did a great job.
I don't even see any marks on the right side of it. Great job for Austin Dillon.
Sam Hornish, 4th place tonight. Doc?
Yeah, best run of the year for Sam Hornish. Did you know it was that close coming to the checkered flag?
I thought he beat me, but I'll take it since they scored me ahead of him. But our Alliance Truck Parts Dodge Challenger was really loose for most of the race. Chad Walter did a good job making some good calls, getting the car tightened up as the night went on. And we had a better long-run car than we had a short-run car. So those yellows there towards the end didn't help us out that much. But all in all, just real happy, real proud to be out here, and thankful that Nationwide Insurance comes out here and sponsors this series. Maybe they'll help me fix my car a little bit.
Hey, well done tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's talk to the guy you barely nipped there, Austin Dillon with Vince.
He sure didn't want that late yellow. In fact, a couple of late yellows because you had it roll in there. I think that car was pretty clean tonight, too. How good a night was it for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, early we struggled. We were too tight and needed an adjustment. Had to figure out something. I was overdriving a little bit and came down, and Danny stopped me and the guys made a good adjustment. We lost a little track position because it was a pretty big adjustment, and I tell you what, we took off after that and really had something for him there at the end. Didn't need the caution, like you said, and that just hurt us. But I want to thank Abacare, everybody that helps us out, Chevrolet, Nationwide Insurance, Tag Heuer Eyewear. It's been a great couple of weeks. Charlotte's going to be fun, Iowa coming up. So thanks for all the fans coming out tonight. We had a good crowd.
Austin Dillon, the only driver to complete every lap so far in the Nationwide Series season. AB?
Captain String going tonight with a fine top 5 finish here at tough old Darlington Raceway. One of 13 drivers in their first ever Nationwide Series event at this track. And boy, he did a great job tonight. Championship. So Elliott Sadler finishes in 24th place. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes in 6th. And Stenhouse's lead that was 2 points starting the day is now 23.
Now, let's make it clear, Ricky Stenhouse drives a Ford. Disregard that graphic there.
Yeah. All right, 10th in the championship after a 12th place result tonight. Danica Patrick, let's hear from her.
10th in points came from 1 lap down to finish on the lead lap. 11th tonight in your first start at Darlington. You had a lot of voices in your head, including Tony Stewart. How do you feel after this race?
That sounded funny, a lot of voices in your head. I do probably. I'm the ones going, try harder, be braver, no, be smarter, be patient. But it was overall, it was a decent night, We got a lap down there. It was a long green flag run there and made stops. But the car was a little tight to start. And it was a little on the loose side after that. But then we got tires at the end, and if we could only had a longer run, I think we really could have taken advantage of it. But it was a good finish at the end. One of my crew guys, Brandon, my car chief, said that he really, really wanted to see the Darlington stripes all down the side. And unfortunately, I don't have any. The little GoDaddy head is all perfect. He has his glasses on. And there's no stripes. But he said, if you're going to run that well, you don't need stripes. That's fine. So all the crew was really happy. It's good to see them happy. And it's nice to come away from a place like Darlington, a really challenging place that deserves respect, and have a decent run.
I know you said you feel good now, but you have a big day ahead tomorrow. She'll make her 2nd Sprint Cup Series start. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Quick reminder that on Sunday, the American Le Mans Series racing at Monterey on ESPN 2, 5 Eastern, presented by Tequila Patron. And mentioned previously by Austin Dillon, but next race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series is a week from Sunday at the Iowa Speedway, ESPN at 1:30 Eastern Time. That is always a spectacular showing. Big crowd, big atmosphere, good racetrack, and we look forward to bringing that one to you here a week from Sunday.
Guys, I had a blast up here with you. I appreciate you letting me be a part of the broadcast. The race was spectacular. Now I'm pretty excited about tomorrow's race. I'm going to take this makeup off and go getting that forward for tomorrow.
Tell me now, you practiced today. You qualified 7th for the race on Saturday night. What is the challenge going to be for winning at the end of 500 miles here?
Well, I think we saw a lot of it tonight. I mean, we're going to have to really manage those tires. We're going to have to keep up with the racetrack. The Fords are fast. Greg Biffle's up there on the pole. We've got a fast car. I think Denny Hamlin is really good. You said Casey Kane looked really good. So 500 miles here, it's just like tonight's race. It's going to be a lot of patience early, and then who knows what's going to happen at the end.
And let me spin back now, Andy, to tonight's race and looking back on the whole thing and the way that it unfolded. What caught your attention most about tonight's race?
Well, the one thing that got me was how well the Elliott Sadler's car was, how it ran on 2 tires. I think that's something we might see tomorrow if we see a similar situation at the end of the race.
Yeah, all the crew chiefs are watching that, the drivers too, so it's going to be a wild race. Tonight was really fun, though, you guys. That was a spectacular finish, and we appreciate everybody sticking around and watching this thing. We hope that you enjoyed it at home.
One other piece of business to tidy up from downstairs. Travis Pastrana, lead lap 17th in his Darlington debut. Jamie?
Just telling Travis Pastrana, if Carl Edwards wasn't a professional NASCAR driver, he would be Travis Pastrana years ago. But Travis, 2 races, you finished them both. Tonight you came back from 2 laps down. What was the biggest challenge about racing here at Darlington?
It was very, very difficult. We got our stripe in qualifying. I was pretty nervous coming into the race. I think the guys knew I was nervous. They made me real tight all night, which was okay because we stayed out of trouble. That was kind of their goal. Let's keep you from the wall. I had it where I wanted, exactly where I wanted, and I turned the fastest lap that I turned in practice, and then I spun down the front stretch, and I had all my privileges revoked of how I was going to set up the car. So,
but you saved it. Not many people can do that.
I just Jim Connor down the front stretch doing some donuts, but no, honestly, I had a really good time. The guys are like, people are going to crash. We're going to run a little tight. We're a little on the conservative side. You have to get get through these races, and then to end up on the lead lap, top 20. We weren't driving the fastest, but I tell you what, I couldn't be happy right now.
Well, he loves to bet, and he told me he lost $1,000 because he was beat once again by Danica.
All right, Jamie. Pastrana finished 17th, and Danica finished 12th tonight. And that our story tonight on the most attention-getting first-timers at Darlington Raceway, I'll call them. The real story up front, Elliott Sadler's strategy put in position at the end to have a shot at the win, but a restart gone wrong and some contact from behind. He ends up crashed and giving up a chunk of ground in the championship. Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin racing for it on the final restart. Hamlin says a cylinder went down under the hood of his car, and Joey Logano continues this incredible tear he's been on in the first part of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season with his 3rd win in his last 5 starts and back-to-back wins in the Nationwide Series for Joey Logano. So a reminder that next week it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series from the Iowa Speedway on Sunday at 1:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. And coming up next, Baseball Tonight. Get an update on all the scores and happenings around Major League Baseball tonight. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. 43 drivers took the challenge of NASCAR's oldest and toughest super speedway, but only one gets to go home tonight holding the trophy and saying, "I won at Darlington." That one tonight is Joey Logano, tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series winner. NASCAR's oldest super speedway, Darlington Raceway, billed as the track too tough to tame for now some 63 years. Joey Logano is going to make it back-to-back. He wins at Darlington.